Chapter 1282. Only Zhang Yutong of the spiritual race has lost one match, while the blazing gold race, including true god Tian Qian, has lost 3 matches. Now, as long as ancient god Ice Origin steps out and defeats one person, the blazing gold race will lose 4 matches. The spectating factions around the stage began to cry out in alarm. No one had expected such a development. The source of all this shock was that peerless genius who had become a rank 6 true god in one go. This brat, the wrinkled elder of the life, sacred land, gave a helpless smile. There was bound to be a victor and a loser between the 2 races, but if the gap wasn't too large, the 2 races could continue to keep each other in check. But Zhao Feng's appearance had greatly tilted the scales of victory in his favor. He actually has such a powerful soul-eye bloodline. The upper echelon members of the Blazing Gold race all had gloomy expressions. They had originally planned to have true god Tian Qian defeat Zhao Feng so that he wouldn't be able to do anything in this gambling match. But the result was that Zhao Feng stole the limelight. However, even if Zhao Feng defeated true god Tian Qian, the Blazing Gold race would still be the final victor. This thought caused the upper echelon members of the Blazing Gold race to relax. You fools! The dark golden-skinned youth among the Blazing Gold race participants cursed in a low voice. The other participants around him were infuriated, but they didn't dare to say a word. Next time I'll go. The dark golden-skinned youth's eyes flashed with a cold and sinister light. Let ancient god Gilded Gold go. The Blazing Gold race upper echelon member's voice resounded in the minds of the participants. The many disciples of the Blazing Gold race were stunned. This time, the spiritual race's loss is certain. Ancient god Gold Fury couldn't help but smile. On the other side, Zhao Feng's victory made many of the spiritual race participants feel admiration for him. Good, Zhao Feng, with you and ancient god Ice Origin, my spiritual race will definitely obtain complete victory. The spiritual race's 5th elder happily said. Ancient god Ice Origin's brow creased, his mind somewhat unbalanced. This wagered battle between the 2 clans was clearly his stage, but now Zhao Feng had stolen the limelight. However, it's my turn in the next match. Ancient god Ice Origin found it hard to conceal his excitement. This time, he would choose 2 of the weaker members of the Blazing Gold race to achieve 2 consecutive victories and overshadow Zhao Feng's brilliance. However, right at that moment, the Spirit Clan's 4th elder's voice was like a bucket of ice water splashing onto his body. Ancient god Ice Origin, don't be in such a rush. Let Bao Yuan go first. The spiritual race 4th elder's expression was grim, his deep eyes constantly scanning the Blazing Gold race. Logically speaking, the fact that Zhao Feng had defeated true god Tian Chuan of the Blazing Gold race should have infuriated the Blazing Gold race and panicked over what to do, but they very quickly calmed down and seemed to have a card up their sleeve. As a precaution, the spiritual race 4th elder decided to move ancient god Ice Origin to the back. Then I'll go. Bao Yuan grinned and leaped onto the fighting ring. Although he did not possess the spirit race bloodline, he was extremely powerful. You come up and play with me. Bao Yuan's eyes shot straight to the fiery woman of the Blazing Gold race. I'm not fighting, the fiery woman decisively replied. She had a rough estimate of Bao Yuan's strength. In her current state, she truly was no match for Bao Yuan. With his challenge rejected, Bao Yuan could only choose someone else. The person next to you. Does he dare to come onto the fighting stage? Bao Yuan's eyes shifted to the dark golden-skinned man next to the fiery woman. He sensed that this dark golden-skinned man was very strong and could be his opponent. Moreover, this man had a gloomy expression, cold eyes, and was standing rather close to the front, making him rather eye-catching. Ancient god Gilded Gold, you could go now. Ancient god Gold Fury softly chuckled. Okay. Ancient god Gilded Gold's eyes exploded with sharp light as he flew onto the stage. Today, you will be the stepping stone for me, Bao Yuan. Bao Yuan was extremely eager and excited. Is that so? Ancient god Gilded Gold sneered, and the energy of his divine stages began to spread out. Boom! That mighty aura that shook the heavens and reigned supreme belonged to an ancient god without a doubt. This is an ancient god. Bao Yuan's expression froze, and his body trembled. What's going on? Who's that youth? The blazing gold race actually had another ancient god expert? The spectators around the stage were all shocked and exclaimed in shock. An ancient god would have an enormous effect on this battle. The spiritual race originally had the upper hand, but it now appeared that it was more likely to lose. There's another ancient god. The upper echelon members of the spiritual race, with the exception of the fourth elder, all stood up, their smiles replaced by a gloomy expression. So that's what was going on. The blazing gold race was hiding an ancient god expert. Back then, it was the blazing gold race who had proposed this gambling match. The spiritual race also had their suspicions, but at the time, this proposal was clearly beneficial to the spiritual race. If the spiritual race did not agree, it would be too cowardly. They had never imagined that the blazing gold race still had an ancient god hidden. Elder, be at ease. This blazing gold race ancient god has probably just broken through. I can deal with him. Ancient god Ice Origin called out. As long as the order of battle was arranged properly, ancient god Ice Origin still had a chance of dealing with two ancient gods. Right. Have Zhao Feng first exhaust this ancient god, and then ancient god Ice Origin can force him into battle and finish him off. Many of the spiritual race participants immediately placed all their hopes on ancient god Ice Origin. Zhao Feng was the strongest below the ancient god level, and he could even injure an ancient god of the blazing gold race that had just broken through. If ancient god Ice Origin finished him off, the spiritual race would still have the upper hand. Ancient god Ice Origin was the spiritual race's only hope. Bzzz. Zhao Feng couldn't help but activate his left eye and focus on ancient god Gilded Gold Body. There's still a secret seal on his divine stages. Zhao Feng immediately began to inspect the situation. It appeared that an upper echelon elder of the blazing gold race had used a secret art to conceal ancient god Gilded Gold's true cultivation, such that not even the spiritual race ancient gods were able to see through it. Moreover, there was still a seal on ancient god Gilded Gold's divine stages. Bao Yuan, do your best to heavily injure him. Ancient god Ice Origin messaged. Okay. Bao Yuan furiously activated his bloodline and prepared to fight with all his might. Boom! Bao Yuan's body grew nearly 10 times larger, transforming into a massive black ape. Every hair on his body was like a black needle, making him look abnormally savage and savage. Swish! A dark yellow hammer appeared in his hand. The energy exuded by this hammer had already reached the limits of an average-quality divine artifact. When Devil Hammer, Bao Yuan immediately used a powerful combat skill. His hands madly swung the giant hammers in his hands, and he was like a demon of chaos. Dark whirlwinds began to sweep across the stage and toward ancient god Gilded Gold. A cold smile appeared on ancient god Gilded Gold's face. His body was instantly covered in a layer of dark golden light, and a dark golden flame soared into the sky. Ancient god Gilded Gold faced Bao Yuan's attack head-on. Boom! Bang! Ancient god Gilded Gold punched, a dark golden fist of flame that pulverized everything in its path like a furious dragon. Haha, is this all you've got? Ancient god Gilded Gold swung his fists, destroying all of Bao Yuan's attacks. Boom! Bang! Crash! Bao Yuan bellowed, all his needle-like hair standing on end as he clashed with ancient god Gilded Gold. Bao Yuan's bloodline was also suited for close combat, but even with his divine weapon, he was no match for ancient god Gilded Gold. This ancient god's strength isn't ordinary either. Many of the participating disciples of the spiritual race were deeply worried. I've defeated countless ancient gods of his strength. As long as I don't fight two ancient gods of the blazing gold race in a row, I'm confident that I can defeat several hundred of them. Ancient god Ice Origin sternly said. He was now the spiritual race's only hope. Only he could reverse the situation. If he won in the end, he might even be able to make a request to the spiritual race. I didn't think that the blazing gold race would be so despicable as to intentionally hide this ancient god's cultivation. And this ancient god doesn't seem like he just broke through. The upper echelon members of the spiritual race had rather gloomy expressions. They had been observing the battle between Bao Yuan and ancient god Gilded Gold this entire time. With their experience, they naturally realized that ancient god Gilded Gold's divine power was extremely stable, as if he had not used his full power. Perhaps he was doing his best to avoid injury and slowly exhaust Bao Yuan to death. It seemed like the blazing gold race was no fool. Even with two ancient gods, they were still proceeding with caution. Damn, Bao Yuan was furious. He had been suppressed this entire time, unable to do anything to ancient god Gilded Gold. This left him extremely sullen. Black Demon Flurry. Bao Yuan bellowed as he used his trump card. Boom! The blood in his body began to burn, transforming into black flames that formed the image of a massive ape around him. Bao Yuan's energy suddenly swelled, and he charged forward, the massive hammer in his hand surrounded by black light as he smashed it at ancient god Gilded Gold. Broom! A series of explosions could be heard from the fighting ring. Bao Yuan seemed to have gone mad, waving his massive hammer and madly attacking. Layers of black energy engulfed true god Gilded Gold's body. Just this much strength? The people of the spiritual race are truly weak. Ancient god Gilded Gold's mocking laughter came from the center of the black energy. A moment later, a golden flame pierced through the black energy. Dooish! Ancient god Gilded Gold transformed into a metallic mountain that slammed into Bao Yuan's head. Lose! A dark golden light condensed in ancient god Gilded Gold's hand, exuding a dreadful and scorching energy. Boom! Bang! Bao Yuan's entire body was struck, and he was sent flying backward. In the end, he landed on the edge of the stage, his body bathed in blood. Bao Yuan lost. Zhang Yutong called out. Why doesn't this ancient god Gilded Gold seem to have any major injuries? Ancient god Ice Origin's brow creased as he stared at ancient god Gilded Gold. Logically speaking, a peak rank 6 like Bao Yuan should have at least been able to injure ancient god Gilded Gold with his frenzied attacks. Zhao Feng, when you enter the stage, use all your strength to injure him a little. This way, I'll be able to defeat him while preserving some of my strength. Ancient god Ice Origin immediately said to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng didn't have a chance to show off. He had to dedicate himself to becoming ancient god Ice Origin. But at this moment, ancient god Gilded Gold coldly called out, Ancient god Ice Origin, come up and fight me. After defeating Bao Yuan, ancient god Gilded Gold chose not to rest but to issue a challenge. His opponent was the strongest expert of the spiritual race, ancient god Ice Origin. Chapter 1283. After fighting with Bao Yuan, the blazing gold race's ancient god Gilded Gold challenged ancient god Ice Origin. Ancient god Ice Origin is a very powerful existence among the rank 7 ancient gods of the spiritual race, but this is the first time I've heard of ancient god Gilded Gold. The surrounding spectators were completely shocked by his words. Ancient god Ice Origin, who was in the middle of warning Zhao Feng, was also stunned. He even wondered if he had heard wrongly. Someone was challenging him. Moreover, this challenger had just fought a battle with the peak rank 6 Bao Yuan. Even if his opponent wanted to fight him, he should have at least rested for a while, so that he could fight in peak condition. It seems like the blazing gold race thinks that with 2 ancient gods, victory is assured. They actually challenged me. Ancient god Ice Origin speculated that this might be an opportunity for him. However, ancient god Ice Origin still had to ask the upper echelon of the spiritual race. Go! Although the upper echelon of the spiritual race felt that something was wrong, they could only send ancient god Ice Origin out. After all, his opponent was challenging the strongest expert of the spiritual race. If he did not accept the challenge, he would become a laughingstock for the entire Xiling zone. Moreover, the spiritual race elders speculated that the blazing gold race wanted to use ancient god gilded gold to heavily wound ancient god Ice Origin. They would then send ancient god Gold Fury to defeat ancient god Ice Origin and obtain the final victory. They have two ancient gods. No matter what, ancient god Ice Origin will have to face them one after the other. The spiritual race, fifth elder side. Whoosh! Ancient god Ice Origin's body leaped onto the stage. I thought that you wouldn't dare to come up. Ancient god Gilded Gold coldly laughed, excitement surging in the depths of his eyes. Since I'm up, I'll immediately send you down. Ancient god Ice Origin's expression was cold and arrogant. In his eyes, ancient god Gilded Gold was definitely weaker than him, and ancient god Gilded Gold had just fought with Bao Yuan. Then let me see if you have the right. Ancient god Gilded Gold roared, his energy swelling as dark golden flames engulfed his body, transforming him into a war god of fire. You'll see. Ancient god Ice Origin's eyes chilled as he slowly activated his spiritual race bloodline, causing the heaven-earth Yuan Qi to turn into ice crystals and mist. At this moment, ancient god Ice Origin seemed to fuse with the heaven-earth Yuan Qi, his every move exuding immense power. Swoosh! Ancient god Ice Origin waved a hand, condensing countless crystalline beams of light into a crystalline dragon that charged at ancient god Gilded Gold. Sacred golden light body. Ancient god Gilded Gold activated his special body. Many dazzling fiery runes appeared on his dark golden body, and a searing physical pressure spread out. Ding ding pong. Ancient god Gilded Gold used his powerful body to block ancient god Ice Origin's attack. However, he was forced back several steps, and there were many scratches on his dark golden body. You're only SOSO. Ancient god Ice Origin's eyes flashed with white light as he slowly began to circulate his bloodline energy. The entire challenge stage was covered in shards of ice, and a heavy pressure engulfed ancient god Gilded Gold's body. Ancient god Gilded Gold felt like the world was standing against him, and a sense of danger slowly began to assail him. So powerful! Ancient god Ice Origin's strength has already reached this level. Ancient god Gilded Gold won't be able to last for long. But it won't be easy for ancient god Ice Origin to defeat ancient god Gilded Gold, and he still has to face ancient god Gold Fury. Many members couldn't help but comment as they carefully watched the battle. Ancient god Gold Fury. Do you know why ancient god Gilded Gold suddenly became so powerful? True god Tian Qian couldn't help but ask. 30 years ago, ancient god Gilded Gold was still true god Gilded Gold, just an ordinary member of the Blazing Gold race. Some of the rank 7 ancient gods of the Blazing Gold race didn't even recognize him. In the last 30 years, true god Gilded Gold has been traveling the world, constantly tempering himself in an attempt to break into the ancient god realm and shine brightly in the Blazing Gold race. His luck was very good, and he accidentally discovered a ruin. Ancient god Gold Fury messaged. Could it be because of that ruin? True god Tian Qian excitedly asked. That truly is the case. As for what kind of ruin it is and what he encountered, only the upper echelon members of the Blazing Gold race know. Ancient god Gold Fury didn't know the entire story. However, that ruin was definitely extraordinary, allowing ancient god Gilded Gold to go from an ordinary disciple to a top-class ancient god of the Blazing Gold race. Moreover, ancient god Gilded Gold returned just as the Blazing Gold race and the spiritual race were fighting over the Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein. Thus, the Blazing Gold race proposed a gambling match and sealed off all information about ancient god Gilded Gold so that he would be their trump card. Only the disciples participating in the gambling match could tell from a few details that ancient god Gilded Gold was the true trump card of this gambling match. But it seems like ancient god Gilded Gold isn't a match for ancient god Ice Origin. True god Tian Qian smiled. In his view, ancient god Gilded Gold wasn't that formidable. He just happened to appear when the Blazing Gold race needed him, so the upper echelon members of the Blazing Gold race valued him. Ancient God Gilded Gold is just playing around with Ancient God Ice Origin. His true strength is definitely far above Ancient God Ice Origins. Ancient God Gold Fury casually chuckled and then messaged. Before the gambling match, the upper echelon members of the Blazing Gold race had arranged for him to fight with Ancient God Gilded Gold, so he had an extremely good understanding of Ancient God Gilded Gold's strength. Really, true God Qian had a look of disbelief on his face. At this moment, a heaven-shaking physical energy mixed with scorching and tyrannical dark golden flames erupted from the fighting stage. Kaboom! The dark golden flames madly intertwined with the fragments of ice. In the end, the energy condensed by Ancient God Ice Origin's bloodline was completely destroyed by Ancient God Gilded Gold. Your strength. Ancient God Ice Origin's expression darkened. At this moment, Ancient God Gilded Gold was no weaker than him. What's going on here? How could Ancient God Gilded Gold be this strong? So Ancient God Gilded Gold was hiding his strength this entire time. He's the true trump card of the Blazing Gold race. The spiritual race is probably going to suffer a crushing defeat this time. Sighs of shock and surprise resounded in the ears of the spiritual race members. The spiritual race disciples stood their ground, their faces filled with anger and unwillingness, but there was nothing they could do. The upper echelon members of the spiritual race also had extremely nasty expressions. From the current situation, it was extremely difficult for them to even obtain 10% of the Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein. Didn't you say that you would send me off the stage? Ancient God Gilded Gold's eyes were vicious and his tone threatening. Cut the nonsense. Ancient God Ice Origin's expression was gloomy, and an ice crystal sword immediately appeared in his hand, exuding an invisible chill. Ice Crystal Heaven Slash. Ancient God Ice Origin immediately raised the sword in his hand, and thick ice divine power surged out of it. At this moment, Ancient God Ice Origin held nothing back, taking out his high-quality divine artifact and using his supreme skill. Thuish, a massive ice crystal sword slashed across the stage toward Ancient God Gilded Gold. Ancient God Gilded Gold's face chilled. Even before the sword ascended, he felt a stabbing pain in his chest. Swish! A dark yellow stone axe appeared in his hand. The moment the stone axe appeared, the world seemed to tremble as an ancient and heavy energy began to spread out. Ancient God Gilded Gold swung his giant axe into the air, unleashing several golden slashes of flame. Boom! Bang! Crash! Ancient God Gilded Gold destroyed every inch of the ice crystal sword as he continued to press toward Ancient God Ice Origin. He actually blocked it. Ancient God Ice Origin was rather surprised. As Ancient God Gilded Gold got close, he sensed that the high-quality divine artifact in his opponent's hand was of a slightly higher quality than his own. Ice Crystal Heaven-defying style. Ancient God Ice Origin once more used a powerful sword skill to fiercely clash with Ancient God Gilded Gold. However, the spectators could already tell that Ancient God Ice Origin was slightly weaker than Ancient God Gilded Gold. If everything went as expected, Ancient God Gilded Gold would win this battle. Even if Ancient God Ice Origin had other tricks up his sleeve that could reverse the situation, he was powerless to deal with his next foe. The spiritual race would still lose. Boom! At this moment, on the stage, Ancient God Gilded Gold unleashed a golden axe image that shook the heavens. Crystal Spirit Water. In the face of such a powerful attack, Ancient God Ice Origin could only use a secret art of the spiritual race. A layer of water ripples suddenly appeared on his crystal clear body. Swish! The golden axe energy struck Ancient God Ice Origin, leaving a massive wound in his body. When the axe energy vanished, the massive wound on Ancient God Ice Origin's body immediately healed. Plush! After relying on a secret art to dodge this powerful attack, Ancient God Ice Origin vomited blood and immediately counterattacked. Several massive beams of icy light shot forward. Ancient God Gilded Gold had just used his supreme technique and was struck by Ancient God Ice Origin's attack. However, his injuries were far less severe than Ancient God Ice Origin's. He actually blocked it. Ancient God Gilded Gold was rather surprised. After all, the spiritual race bloodline was an ancient bloodline that was superior to the blazing gold race's bloodline. This bloodline had a special characteristic that allowed one to be immune to lethal damage. Since that's the case, I'll use this move to defeat you. A hint of madness appeared on Ancient God Gilded Gold's face. A dazzling golden light shot out of Ancient God Gilded Gold's body and fused into the dark yellow stone axe in his hand. Whoosh! The golden flames on the stone axe suddenly increased in power, and a destruction intent that could destroy all began to spread out. Destruction energy. Ancient God Ice Origin's body trembled, his eyes tinged with fear. Ancient God Gilded Gold, who was already extremely powerful, suddenly unleashed another powerful energy. The combination of the two was at least twice as powerful as the previous attack. Ancient God Ice Origin was heavily injured, and his bloodline was weakened. He could no longer use a secret bloodline art a second time. Ice Crystal Heaven-defying style. Ancient God Ice Origin burned his remaining divine power and bloodline, concentrating all of it into a single attack. But the moment he unleashed this attack, Ancient God Gilded Gold shattered it. A wave of destruction energy swept toward Ancient God Ice Origin. Dooish! In a golden streak of light, Ancient God Gilded Gold's axe blasted Ancient God Ice Origin off the stage. The battle was over. Ancient God Ice Origin had been defeated. Ancient God Ice Origin lost. True God Long Yuan's face paled. The other spiritual race disciples had extremely gloomy looks in their eyes. Ancient God Ice Origin had been defeated, and the blazing gold race's Ancient God Gold Fury had yet to move. They had completely lost this gambling match. A cloud of despair shrouded the heads of the spiritual race members. The blazing gold race wins. After a while, the elder from the life sacred land announced. But before anyone else could say what they were thinking, Ancient God Gilded Gold's domineering voice resounded through the air. This is the strongest expert sent by the spiritual race. That's all there is to it. I alone am enough to sweep away the rest of you. Ancient God Gilded Gold proudly stood on the stage, his expression haughty and his words extremely arrogant. His disdainful gaze swept over the remaining participants of the spiritual race. Chapter 1284. This is the strongest expert sent by the spirit tribe. That's all you amount to. I alone can wipe out the rest of you. Ancient God Gilded Gold looked at the spiritual race and arrogantly said. The remaining spirit race participants trembled slightly. They were furious and unwilling, but they could only lower their heads. Ancient God Gilded Gold defeating Ancient God Ice Origin had utterly shattered their confidence. Moreover, the Blazing Gold race's Ancient God Gold Fury had yet to fight, and the Blazing Gold race also had 5 rank 6 true gods. If the 2 ancient gods of the Blazing Gold race took turns fighting, they would be able to stabilize their losses at 5. In that case, the spirit race wouldn't even get a 10th of the Sky Crystal Fire Spirit Vein. I lost. Ancient God Ice Origin's expression dimmed as he silently returned to the spiritual race camp. He had originally wanted to make use of this wagered battle between the 2 clans to shine. However, he had never expected that his first battle would end in defeat. Blazing Gold Race, for the sake of victory, you're truly willing to do anything. The 5th elder of the spirit race growled. The Blazing Gold Race had proposed a gambling match. On the surface, the spiritual race had the upper hand, but the Blazing Gold Race was hiding a trump card that could completely reverse the situation. For this reason, the Blazing Gold Race had sealed off all information and even used special methods to conceal Ancient God Gilded Gold's true cultivation. That's not right. The Blazing Gold Race has as many prodigies as the clouds in the sky, and their strength is tyrannical because of their true ability. It's just that the spiritual race disciples are inferior. so how can you slander them? Elder Gene of the Blazing Gold race had a ruddy face as he loudly laughed. This time, the Blazing Gold race had ruthlessly crushed the spiritual race in front of the many factions of the Xiling Zone. Elder Gene was extremely pleased when he saw the aggrieved and furious expressions on the faces of the spirit tribe members. The spiritual race fifth elder was so angry that he was trembling, but ancient god Ice Origin had still lost, so anything he said was useless. The battle isn't over yet. Let's continue. Elder Gene looked at the spirit tribe elder and said proudly, if the battle continued, the spirit race would only suffer more and lose more face. This was exactly what he wanted to see. Gambling duel. The elders of the spirit race had complicated expressions and seemed to be struggling. There is still hope. The spirit race's fourth elder transmitted to the entire spirit race. We have 8 people, and we also have a chance to challenge them. As long as we defeat the 3 rank 6 true gods of the Blazing Gold race, we could get a share of the Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein. The fourth elder's deep voice resounded in everyone's mind. The Blazing Gold race only had 7 people left. As long as they could keep their numbers below 5, the spiritual race would be able to get 10% of the profits. The other spirit race elders also calmed down a little. The spirit race would lose all face if they admitted defeat. Moreover, 10% was better than nothing. Now, if you can defeat 3 members of the Blazing Gold race, each of you will be rewarded 10,000 contribution points. And if you can defeat a disciple of the Blazing Gold race, you will be rewarded 40,000 contribution points. The fourth elder continued when he saw that the disciples of the spirit tribe were still in low spirits. Hearing this, the eyes of the remaining disciples of the Ling tribe lit up. Anyone who defeated 3 rank 6 true gods would obtain contribution points, and anyone who defeated a disciple of the Blazing Gold race would obtain 40,000 contribution points. The battle continues. The wrinkled elder of the life sacred land announced, "Hee, you really don't want to give up." Elder Gene of the Blazing Gold race jeered. He naturally understood that the spiritual race wanted to defeat the 3 rank 6 true gods of the Blazing Gold race. This way, the spiritual race could obtain 10% of the Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein. Okay, if you want to fight, I'll play with you. On the stage, Ancient God Gilded Gold gave a savage smile. It was obvious that Ancient God Gilded Gold had no intention of resting after defeating Ancient God Ice Origin. The remaining 7 members of the spiritual race had grim expressions. Ancient God Gilded Gold had expended a great deal of energy and was heavily injured in his battle with Ancient God Ice Origin. But with his strength, he could still forcefully defeat a rank 6 true god. Everyone understood that if they were challenged by Ancient God Gilded Gold, defeat was assured. Ancient God Gilded Gold, leave Zhao Feng for last. Elder Gene of the Blazing Gold race messaged Ancient God Gilded Gold. Earlier, Zhao Feng had taken the limelight. Now, he wanted Zhao Feng to endure more pain and pressure than anyone else. Okay, Ancient God Gilded Gold nodded. Although he wanted to finish off Zhao Feng right now, he didn't dare to disobey Elder Jin's orders. Let's start from the left. Ancient God Gilded Gold's eyes locked onto the person on the left. This was a white-clothed youth, one of the weakest of the 10 disciples of the spiritual race. Go for it. The white-clothed youth stepped onto the stage and immediately activated his spiritual race bloodline, using the trump card he had been hiding. Boom, bang, crash. The sky filled with crystalline white light transformed into peerless swords that stabbed at Ancient God Gilded Gold. Ancient God Gilded Gold's expression chilled as his body surged with golden light. Ding ding, bang bang. Ancient God Gilded Gold stood his ground and took on the attack of the spiritual race youth. Get out of here. Ancient God Gilded Gold charged forward, a searing pressure engulfing the white-clothed youth. He fiercely swung his ancient axe. A huge golden light shadow blasted the white-robed youth out of the fighting ring. The remaining 6 members of the spiritual race grimaced. I didn't think that after his battle with Ancient God Ice Origin, he would still be able to display such power. True God Long Yuan had a grim expression. Even he wasn't confident that he could defeat ancient God Gilded Gold. You're next. Get up here. After defeating one person, ancient God Gilded Gold's gaze fell on the other spiritual race participant. This youth could only brace himself and use all the techniques he had. This spiritual race youth was a little stronger, and after exchanging 10 blows with ancient God Gilded Gold, he was finally defeated. At this point, the spiritual race had lost 4 consecutive defeats and only had 5 people left. The spectators nearby also gradually lost interest. This was because the following battles would all be one-sided, and everyone knew the final outcome. In this gambling match, the Blazing Gold race would thoroughly rise, while ancient God Gilded Gold would become famous throughout the Xiling Zone. I should still have a chance to go on stage. Ancient God Gold Fury smiled. Before the gambling match, he was the strongest member of the Blazing Gold race in the eyes of others, but he still hadn't gotten on stage. Bang! At this moment, another spiritual race disciple was thrown off the stage. Ancient God Gilded Gold had won 5 consecutive victories, and the spiritual race had lost 5 in a row. None of the members of the spiritual race could continue watching this scene, and they wanted nothing more than to leave. Every moment that passed was a form of torture for them. Only Zhao Feng's expression only flickered ever so slightly from start to finish. That's perfect. The Blazing Gold race still has 7 people, which adds up to 280,000 contribution points. With this thought, Zhao Feng's expression became somewhat excited. 240,000 contribution points was more than enough to exchange for a single technique in the spiritual race. There are 4 people left. You can come up. Ancient God Gilded Gold pointed to another spiritual race disciple. Whoosh! A broad-faced youth stepped onto the stage. You were already heavily injured and exhausted, and now you've been fighting continuously. You're already exhausted, so let me end you. The broad-faced youth's strength was above average among the 10 participants. I said before that I alone can sweep away the weaklings of the spiritual race. Ancient God Gilded Gold's face was somewhat exhausted, but his words were still arrogant and tyrannical. Ding ding, bang, bang. The 2 of them exchanged vicious words before clashing. The broad-faced youth of the spiritual race wielded a high-quality divine artifact and ignited his spiritual race bloodline as he madly attacked ancient God Gilded Gold. This battle had been going on for a long time, and ancient God Gilded Gold's advantage was not very obvious. Suddenly, ancient God Gilded Gold's eyes flashed as he swung the high-quality divine artifact in his hand. Clink-clang. The broad-faced youth's saber was snapped in 2 by ancient God Gilded Gold. My celestial wind, sun-shattering saber. The broad-faced youth called out in alarm. His divine artifact was only average quality and could not compare to ancient God Gilded Gold's high-quality divine artifact. Without his divine artifact, the broad-faced youth's fighting power plummeted. In the end, the broad-faced youth was defeated by ancient God Gilded Gold. Ancient God Gilded Gold had won 6 consecutive victories. Then, of the 3 remaining spirit tribe members, the weak-looking woman with the weakest strength walked onto the platform. A few moments later, she was also defeated. 7 consecutive victories. The Blazing Gold race's ancient God Gilded Gold had won 7 consecutive victories. The upper echelon members of the spiritual race all had ashen faces. Now that they only had 2 people left, it was clearly unrealistic for them to take 10% of the Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein from the Blazing Gold race. But the spiritual race had already lost 7 matches in a row. They had to win at least 1, or else they would be utterly humiliated. Zhao Feng and True God Long Yuan are stronger. Ancient God Gilded Gold will choose to rest. This way, the spiritual race can still win 1 more match. The spiritual race elder found it extremely difficult to speak. True God Long Yuan, come up. But ancient God Gilded Gold still did not retreat. He continued to challenge the peak rank 6 True God Long Yuan. I'll definitely defeat you. True God Long Yuan's eyes flashed with ruthless light as he flew onto the stage. Boom! The pressure of the spiritual race bloodline exploded out as true God Long Yuan gripped his golden spear and thrust it at ancient god Gilded Gold, dazzling with golden light. You'll still lose. Ancient god Gilded Gold's eyes chilled as he once more used his trump card. A flow of dazzling destruction, power, Upanishad slowly gushed out of his body. Golden light burst. Ancient god Gilded Gold swung his ancient axe, unleashing a massive blade of golden flame. Boom! Bang! True god Long Yuan grimaced as he used a secret spiritual race bloodline art to avoid a fatal wound. Heavily injured, true god Long Yuan was powerless to continue, and after a few moments of struggle, he suffered a crushing defeat. At this time, the only person left in the spiritual race was Zhao Feng. Everyone else had been defeated. True god Long Yuan also lost. The spiritual race fifth elder tightly closed his eyes. He did not want to face all this, did not want to see the ugly faces of the blazing gold race. The affairs of the world are hard to predict. The spiritual race fourth elder sorrowfully sighed. He hadn't expected ancient god Gilded Gold to be so powerful, with so many trump cards, and still be undefeated in 8 matches. Let's concede, a spiritual race elder said, a tormented expression on his face. Someone else was the first to speak, and the other elders of the spiritual race began to express their agreement. Zhao Feng, hurry and get back here. Do you still want to continue making a spectacle of yourself? Ancient god Ice Origin was in a terrible mood, and when he saw Zhao Feng standing in front of him, he immediately barked. Many of the spiritual race elders agreed to concede, and the fourth elder finally made up his mind. He stood up and prepared to announce to the life-sacred land that the spiritual race had conceded. At this moment, a loud voice interrupted him. Slow down. It's my turn now. Zhao Feng was rather depressed. Ancient god Gilded Gold had not challenged him this entire time, so Zhao Feng could only wait. But now that it was finally his turn, the upper echelon members of the spiritual race were actually going to concede. He could not allow such a thing to happen. Everyone present was stunned by these words, and then they all began to jeer. At this moment, a peerlessly powerful and heaven-shaking pressure erupted from Zhao Feng's body. Chapter 1285. As Zhao Feng's energy soared into the sky, everyone shut their mouths and stared at him. This is the energy of an ancient god's divine stage. How could this be? How could Zhao Feng be an ancient god expert? After a few moments of silence, the crowd exploded with shocked and doubtful voices. At this moment, Zhao Feng's transformation into an ancient god expert was even more shocking than ancient god Gilded Gold's sudden appearance. After all, ancient god Gilded Gold had long ago been a rank 6 true god, so breaking into the ancient god level wasn't all that strange. But Zhao Feng was different. 1 year ago, he had only just broken into rank 6. They had never heard of anyone going from rank 6 to rank 7 in a single year. This was simply inconceivable. Rank 7 ancient god. My eyes must be deceiving me. The upper echelon members of the spiritual race all stood up. At this moment, they seemed to see a sliver of hope. At this moment, they had no time to think about how Zhao Feng had become an ancient god. They only hoped that Zhao Feng could salvage the spiritual race's embarrassing situation. Now that Zhao Feng has displayed the strength of an ancient god Gilded Gold will definitely choose to rest. Then, Zhao Feng can challenge him. The fourth elder began to calculate. As long as Zhao Feng could defeat 3 true gods, the spiritual race would not have such an ugly end to this gambling match. He's actually a rank 7 ancient god? Impossible. Ancient god Ice Origin shook his head, unable to believe his eyes. That brat is actually an ancient god. How'd he do it? The blazing gold race's elder Gene had a gloomy expression. At this moment, he was no longer thinking about the outcome of the gambling match. Instead, he was thinking about how Zhao Feng had managed to cultivate to rank 7 ancient god, and how terrifying Zhao Feng's future would be. This brat must be eliminated. After a long while, Elder Jin's expression suddenly darkened. He once more recalled that the ancient god the blazing gold race had sent to kill Zhao Feng was probably dead and could no longer return to the blazing gold race. Interesting. On the stage, ancient god Gilded Gold stared at Zhao Feng with great interest. Zhao Feng, if you can defeat 3 of them, the spirit tribe will give you 150,000 contribution points. The 4th elder sent a voice transmission to Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng might have just become an ancient god and was far weaker than the 2 ancient gods of the blazing gold race. Give me 500,000 contribution points, and I'll defeat all of them. How about it? At this moment, Zhao Feng suddenly said in front of everyone, "What?" All the members of the spirit race were dumbfounded and stood rooted to the spot. Everyone was praying that Zhao Feng could defeat the 3 of them. But Zhao Feng actually said that he wanted to defeat all of them, including the 2 ancient god experts. The other factions, including the blazing gold race, also had stunned expressions of disbelief. Ignorant, how laughable. Ancient god Ice Origin coldly snorted, but his mind felt like it had been overturned, and he didn't know what to feel. He was originally the spiritual race's trump card, its only hope. But now, Zhao Feng was the spiritual race's hope, its last hope. He's crazy. Even if he's an ancient god, can he really fight 1 against 7? The spectators couldn't help but shake their heads and jeer. In their view, Zhao Feng was simply overestimating his abilities. Zhao Feng, don't be in such a rush. As long as you could defeat 3. The 4th elder messaged, at the same time advising Zhao Feng to proceed with caution. Zhao Feng's expression darkened, and his brow creased. For him to say something like this, he definitely had some confidence in himself. Okay, I agree, but you still have to defeat 3 first. The 4th elder saw the look on Zhao Feng's face and casually agreed, continuing his persuasion. Okay, then let's begin. Zhao Feng called out as he stepped onto the stage, disinclined to listen to the chatter of the upper echelon members of the spiritual race. I'll rest for a while. I'd like to see just how you'll defeat 7 disciples of the blazing gold race. Ancient god Gilded Gold coldly snorted and then left the stage. He dearly wanted to teach this arrogant person a lesson, but he knew that in his current state, he was doomed to lose against an ancient god. Since you've gone down, it's up to me to choose. Zhao Feng's gaze immediately swept over the 7 members of the blazing gold race. The upper echelon members of the spiritual race were all extremely excited. With Zhao Feng's ancient god cultivation, he could easily defeat a rank 6 true god. It's you, ancient god Gold Fury. Zhao Feng indifferently glanced at ancient god Gold Fury. Ancient god Gold Fury. The upper echelon members of the spiritual race were all dumbfounded, speechless for a long time. What? Ancient god Gold Fury? Ancient god Gilded Gold, who had just flown down, almost fell to the ground. This kid truly doesn't know what's good for him. It seems like I won't get another chance to fight. Ancient god Gilded Gold growled. For someone who had just broken into the ancient god level to challenge one of the ancient gods, wasn't that just seeking death? The spectators were also in an uproar. Everyone believed that Zhao Feng would start with a true god, but he chose to challenge ancient god Gold Fury. He was simply going to shock everyone to death with his words. Ha! I didn't think that I would go onto the stage like this. Ancient god Gold Fury heartily laughed as he stepped onto the stage. From the start of the gambling match until now, he had been a spectator, and he was rather envious of ancient god Gilded Gold. Now, he could finally show off. Relax. You'll be going down very quickly. Zhao Feng's expression suddenly turned cold. Swish! Activating his sacred lightning body, Zhao Feng transformed into a bolt of lightning that shot toward ancient god Gold Fury. Ha! Ignorant people always end up in a wretched state. Ancient god Gold Fury faintly smiled as he activated his golden light sacred body. His body was instantly covered in a layer of golden flame, and surging golden flames began to burn. 5 elements: tribulation, lightning domain, water, lightning, sacred palm. Zhao Feng unleashed his tribulation lightning domain to suppress ancient god gold fury in all aspects. At the same time, he sent out a palm of blue lightning. The five elements tribulation lightning domain was strengthened by this palm of light, and it shot toward ancient god gold fury. Ancient god gold fury's expression darkened. Zhao Feng was much stronger than he had imagined. Celestial flame fist. Ancient god gold fury fused his divine power and physical strength into a fist. Boom! Bang! The two clashed, and ancient god gold fury's attack was the first to shatter. So strong, ancient god gold fury's expression turned grave. If Zhao Feng was weaker than him, even if water countered fire, he wouldn't have been able to put on such a strong display. He finally realized that he had still underestimated Zhao Feng's strength. Oh no! Ancient god gold fury suddenly sensed danger coming from behind him. While ancient god gold fury was startled, Zhao Feng had used space intent to blink behind him and launch a fierce attack. Kaboom! Ancient god gold fury pushed his bloodline and body to the limit, activating his defensive secret skill to meet the water lightning palm. Thump thump! Ancient god gold fury couldn't help but take 2 steps back and take the blow. But before he could recover, Zhao Feng had already blinked to the other side and launched another thunderous attack. By relying on space intent, Zhao Feng had the advantage in speed, allowing him to seize the initiative in this battle. Ancient god gold fury can't do anything to him. He's skilled in both 5 elements intent and space intent. This kid has extraordinary comprehension abilities. The spectators couldn't help but sigh in amazement. They had all underestimated Zhao Feng's strength. How could this be? He actually managed to suppress ancient god gold fury. Ancient god Ice Origin was stunned. Earlier, everyone believed that Zhao Feng was reckless enough to challenge ancient god gold fury. But now, ancient god gold fury was being suppressed by Zhao Feng. Good. The upper echelon members of the spiritual race couldn't help but call out in alarm. From the current situation, Zhao Feng was completely confident that he could defeat ancient god gold fury. Now he just needed to defeat 2 more true gods. On the stage, ancient god gold fury was firmly suppressed. Don't get too arrogant. Ancient god gold fury suddenly roared, his body seething with golden flames as a formidable physical energy fiercely clashed with Zhao Feng's 5 elements tribulation lightning domain. At the same time, a massive black hammer appeared in ancient god gold fury's hand. Kaboom! The hammer suddenly erupted with black flames that twisted together with ancient god gold fury's golden flames. 7 moves of the Flame Devil. Ancient god gold fury activated the high-quality divine weapon in his hand and began to swing it around. Terrifying black gold flames slowly superimposed over each other, creating a storm of black gold flames. In a flash, Zhao Feng's 5 elements tribulation lightning domain was almost destroyed. Forbidden illusion lost world. Zhao Feng's left eye focused on the center of the black gold flame storm, and his eye intent began to pulse. A dreamy mist emerged from Zhao Feng's left eye. In the center of the storm, ancient god gold fury couldn't help but stare at Zhao Feng's left eye, his skills in disarray. Now's the time. Zhao Feng seized this chance to fuse the 5 elements tribulation lightning domain into his palm, and after fusing it with divine power, he thrust it forward. The angle of this palm was extremely crafty, striking the weakest point of the black gold flame storm. Boom! Bang! Ancient god gold fury's body was sent flying several dozen feet. After striking ancient god gold fury, Zhao Feng didn't stop to rest, unleashing several more palm images. What a powerful eye bloodline technique. The pain allowed ancient god gold fury to break free from Zhao Feng's illusion art. He immediately got up and fearfully looked at Zhao Feng. He was wearing a soul-protecting divine artifact, but he was still confused by Zhao Feng's illusion art. Fortunately, his physical defense was extremely formidable, so his injuries weren't too severe. flame devil heaven destroying style. In the face of Zhao Feng's attack, ancient god Gold Fury focused his mind and used a powerful combat skill, unleashing a hammer of black gold flame. This is space intent. Ancient god Gold Fury suddenly realized that his body was exuding a weak space intent. Tribulation lightning eye slash. Zhao Feng's left eye suddenly exploded with the energy of destructive tribulation lightning. At the same time, a massive blade of lightning slashed out of ancient god Gold Fury's body, spraying the ground with scorching golden blood. Spatial eye bloodline technique. Ancient god Gold Fury grimaced. He had been on guard this entire time against Zhao Feng's illusion eye bloodline techniques, but he hadn't expected for Zhao Feng to also be able to use spatial eye bloodline techniques. Swish! Zhao Feng suddenly appeared at ancient god Gold Fury's side and unleashed one thunderous attack after another. The massive wound on ancient god Gold Fury's body didn't even have time to heal before he was heavily injured once more. Plush! Ancient god Gold Fury vomited several mouthfuls of blood, his fighting power plummeting. He was no longer able to fight back against Zhao Feng's attacks. Bang! Ancient god Gold Fury was blasted off the stage. Ancient god of the blazing gold race is only SOSO. I alone can sweep away the rest of you. Zhao Feng leisurely held his hands behind his back, a playful smile on his face as he scanned the remaining blazing gold race disciples. These were the same words that ancient god Gilded Gold used to defeat ancient god Ice Origin. Now, Zhao Feng had returned them to the blazing gold race. Chapter 1286. Ancient gods of the blazing gold race are only SOSO. I alone can sweep through the rest of you. Zhao Feng leisurely placed his hands behind his back, a playful smile on his face as he scanned the remaining blazing gold race disciples. The resting ancient god Gilded Gold's face darkened, his eyes flashing with cold light. He had said these words to the spiritual race disciples when he defeated ancient god Ice Origin, and now Zhao Feng was returning them to the blazing gold race. Victory! He defeated ancient god Gold Fury. The disciples of the spirit race cheered. Even if they weren't familiar with Zhao Feng was a disciple of the spirit race. Defeating an enemy was an honor for the spirit race. Zhao Feng might be able to salvage the situation and give the spirit race a share of the heaven crystal fire spirit vein. Moreover, the fourth elder had already said that as long as the spirit race could obtain 10% of the crystal fire spirit vein, all the participating disciples of the spirit race would receive 10,000 contribution points. Therefore, they desperately hoped that Zhao Feng could continue to win. He actually won. Ancient god Ice Origin was stunned, his face dejected and tinged with jealousy. The fact that Zhao Feng could defeat ancient god Gold Fury meant that Zhao Feng's strength was on par with his. What powerful strength! He doesn't look like someone who has just broken through to the ancient god realm. The fourth elder murmured in his heart. Suddenly, the fourth elder recalled that Zhao Feng had rejected the third elder's invitation to become his disciple. Could it be that he already has a master? The fourth elder suddenly had this thought. Only this could explain why Zhao Feng had refused to accept a half-step god lord as a disciple. Only this could explain how Zhao Feng could break through to the ancient god realm so quickly and still be so powerful. Furthermore, Zhao Feng had snuck out of the spirit race after attempting to ascend to the heavenly divine realm. He must have gone to meet his mysterious master, and with his master's help, he broke through to the ancient god realm and consolidated his cultivation. The more he thought about it, the more certain the fourth elder became. The blazing gold race was much quieter than the other places. How is this possible? Ancient god Gold Fury was defeated. The blazing gold race disciples were still in a state of shock. The upper echelon members of the blazing gold race all had grim expressions. The blazing gold race should have been triumphantly advancing and trampling the spiritual race underfoot. But halfway through, Zhao Feng had appeared and even defeated ancient god Gold Fury. Even if the blazing gold race won in the end, the effect of suppressing the spiritual race would be greatly reduced. This kid can't be left alive. An undetectable killing intent was hidden in the depths of Elder Jin's eyes. Ancient God Gold Fury has already been defeated. Who's next? Zhao Feng had a relaxed and indifferent expression as he scanned the blazing gold race. Brat, don't be so arrogant. If it weren't for the fact that I'm heavily injured and consumed a lot of energy, you would have been defeated by me long ago. Ancient God, Gilded Gold roared. So you don't dare to fight now? Zhao Feng said with a playful smile. You, Ancient God, Gilded Gold's body trembled in anger. But at this moment, he really couldn't go up. Even if he had a trump card, there was a high chance that he would lose to Zhao Feng. Ancient God, Gilded Gold, needs time to recover from his injuries. All of you go up first, and try to buy as much time as possible while also exhausting his energy. The upper echelon of the blazing gold race messaged the remaining disciples. Zhao Feng had defeated Ancient God Gold Fury, but the blazing gold race still had 6 people left. Defeating Ancient God Gold Fury should have consumed a lot of energy. We'll delay him so that Ancient God Gilded Gold has enough time to recover. The other disciples of the blazing gold race all agreed. If you want to rest, I'll grant your wish. Have the true gods of the blazing gold race go first. Zhao Feng faintly smiled. Even if he challenged Ancient God Gilded Gold, the other party would refuse. Moreover, if he defeated Ancient God Gilded Gold and caused the blazing gold race to concede, he would have no way of earning contribution points. Thus, before dealing with Ancient God Gilded Gold, he needed to finish off all these small fries. Have the strongest true god go first. Elder Jin's words resounded in the minds of the 5 true gods. The blazing gold race had already lost 4 matches. If they lost 2 more, the spiritual race would be able to get 10% of the Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein. Thus, having the stronger true gods go first would buy Ancient God Gilded Gold a little more time. The true god disciples glanced at each other, and then a black-clothed youth stepped forward. Whoosh! He jumped onto the stage and solemnly stared at Zhao Feng. The instant the black-clothed youth jumped onto the stage, Zhao Feng's figure flashed as he approached. Boom! The black-clothed youth activated his bloodline, used his secret defensive skill, and gripped his divine artifact to defend himself. His mission was to buy time for Ancient God Gilded Gold and consume Zhao Feng's strength. But how could Zhao Feng let the blazing gold race do as they wished? If the battle dragged on for too long, Ancient God Gilded Gold would quickly recover, and Zhao Feng would have no chance to deal with the others. Secondly, Zhao Feng had just battled with Ancient God Gold Fury and now had many true gods to deal with. Ancient God Gilded Gold truly did need to conserve his strength. Since this was the case, Zhao Feng could only use a special method to quickly finish off his opponent. Bzzz. Zhao Feng's dreamy silver eyes slowly began to turn, shooting out dazzling and beautiful beams of multicolored light. Not good. An eye bloodline technique. The black-clothed youth immediately focused his mind. He had to be wary of Zhao Feng's illusion eye bloodline technique, as well as spatial eye bloodline techniques. But with his rank 6 true God soul intent, even if he was on guard, it would be useless. Moreover, when Zhao Feng broke into the true God level, his God, I had undergone a major transformation. His left eye had now reached the quasi-God eye level. Boom! A dreamy mist began to slowly engulf the black-clothed youth. This dreamy mist quickly transformed into streams of twinkling starlight, dazzling arcs of lightning flowing through them. Water lightning illusion prison. With the eye bloodline technique successfully used, Zhao Feng's left eye stopped turning. The water lightning illusion prison was a new eye bloodline technique that Zhao Feng had developed. It fused illusion intent with water intent, imbuing it with both physical and soul energy. Its main purpose was to imprison and make it impossible for the opponent to escape. The black-clothed youth was trapped in an illusory cage of blue lightning. His expression was chaotic as he struggled, but he was unable to escape. Swish! Zhao Feng blinked to his side, converted his 5 elements divine power into water divine power, and then thrust his palm forward. When the palm light with the water power Upanishad hit the water lightning fantasy prison, it immediately merged with the power of the water lightning fantasy prison. With a more powerful momentum, it pressed on the black-clothed young man. Boom! Bang! Crash! The black-clothed youth had no time to defend, and his body flew backward, smashing into the ground 1,000 feet away and vomiting blood. All the members of the Blazing Gold race had gloomy expressions, and even the participating disciples were rather alarmed. Just what kind of eye is that? It's so powerful. And his attainments and eye bloodline techniques are also extremely profound. The members of the Blazing Gold race began to discuss how to deal with this situation. The black-clothed youth had been defeated too quickly and hadn't managed to buy much time, so they still needed to send more people. Good, another victory. The members of the spiritual race cheered. Zhao Feng had already defeated 2 people. If he defeated 1 more, the spiritual race would get 10% of the mine, and all the participants would get 10,000 contribution points. But now, the members of the spiritual race could clearly see Zhao Feng's strength. Perhaps the spiritual race wouldn't just get 10%, but even more. This aura, quasi-god eye, the aura of a god eye. The few people with the eye of life on the Life Sacred Lands spectating platform turned grim. This is impossible. All eye bloodlines in the world originate from the 8 great god eyes, but that doesn't seem to belong to any of the 8 great god eyes. And what's with this god eye aura? The wrinkled elder of the Life Sacred Land couldn't help but think. At this moment, the fiery woman of the Blazing Gold race stepped onto the stage. However, the interesting thing was that this woman had 3 soul defensive artifacts on her. I said before that I alone can sweep away all the members of the Blazing Gold race. No matter what, you will lose. Zhao Feng's eyes focused on the fiery woman. The members of the spiritual race were startled. At the start, they had all believed that Zhao Feng was mocking the Blazing Gold race. But now, it seemed that Zhao Feng truly did have this intention. Who doesn't know how to talk big? The fiery woman had a rather irascible temper, and she had come prepared, wearing 3 soul-protecting divine artifacts. Swish! Zhao Feng wasted no more words. Blinking forward, a vast wave of divine power crushing down on her. The fiery woman immediately used all her techniques to carefully contend with Zhao Feng. 5 elements, tribulation, lightning palm. Zhao Feng unleashed a fierce barrage of attacks. So strong. If he doesn't use eye bloodline techniques, I won't be able to last long. The fiery woman had a bitter expression. Zhao Feng's attacks contained wind lightning intent, 5 elements intent, and even space intent from time to time, making it impossible for the fiery woman to block. After 10 moves, she was sent flying by Zhao Feng. 3 matches. He's already won 3 matches. The members of the spiritual race were all extremely excited. All the members of the Blazing Gold race had gloomy expressions. They could only helplessly send more true God disciples to buy more time for ancient God gilded gold. However, these disciples were even weaker than the previous 2 and simply couldn't contend with Zhao Feng. If they weren't wearing so many soul-protecting divine artifacts, they would have been instantly killed by Zhao Feng. In the end, all the true God disciples of the Blazing Gold race were defeated, and Zhao Feng had already won 6 matches in a row. Everyone around the stage was somewhat dazed. No one had expected the gambling match to turn out like this. The Blazing Gold race's ancient god, Gilded Gold, had appeared and fought 7 members of the spiritual race. Soon after, the spiritual race's Zhao Feng displayed his true cultivation and defeated 6 members of the spiritual race. Truly unbelievable. To think that Zhao Feng would have such strength. He defeated 6 people in a row. The spiritual race can now get 40% of the Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein. The members of the spiritual race were extremely excited. Zhao Feng had single-handedly saved the spiritual race from its miserable defeat. Even if Zhao Feng lost, no one would say a word about it. Thump. Ancient God Gilded Gold had already stepped on his stage, his expression ruthless and his eyes vicious. Zhao Feng, I'll crush you beneath my feet. Ancient God, Gilded Gold roared. Originally, he was supposed to be the most dazzling individual in this gambling match, trampling the spiritual race underfoot and winning glory for the blazing gold race. But Zhao Feng had ruined all of this. In order to buy time for Ancient God Gilded Gold to recover, the blazing gold race had been forced to constantly send out true God disciples. They had never imagined that Zhao Feng would be so formidable that he could defeat all of them with lightning-fast speed. Now that things had come to this, the blazing gold race's frustration was pointless. Fortunately, Ancient God Gilded Gold had mostly recovered. The members of the blazing gold race were confident that Ancient God Gilded Gold would win this final battle. The blazing gold race was certain to win this gambling match. Chapter 1287. This is the last match of the gambling match between the two races. I wonder who will be the one sweeping through the other race. Ancient God, Gilded Gold, and Zhao Feng had both said that they would sweep through everyone else on the other side by themselves. In the end, the two of them collided. In the end, only one of them could prove their words. Zhao Feng fought 6 battles in a row without any time to rest, while Ancient God Gilded Gold's injuries have mostly healed. The difference between the two is extremely obvious. Moreover, I didn't see Zhao Feng take out a divine artifact in the previous battles. He definitely doesn't have a divine artifact to use, while Ancient God Gilded Gold has a high-quality divine artifact. The spectators couldn't help but speculate as the final match was about to begin. However, no one was optimistic about Zhao Feng's chances, and this was for many reasons. Zhao Feng, don't feel any pressure. The spiritual race 4th elder hurriedly messaged Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng had fought 6 battles in a row without any rest, so he was certain to lose this final match. But the spiritual race no longer cared about this. After all, the spiritual race might have been completely defeated by the blazing gold race earlier, unable to get even 10% of the Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein. But Zhao Feng had reversed the tides and obtained 40% of the Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein for the spiritual race. Elder, don't forget about the 500,000 contribution points you promised me. Zhao Feng sternly said. 500,000 contribution points. The 4th elder suddenly recalled how he had casually promised Zhao Feng that as long as he swept through the blazing gold race, he would give him 500,000 contribution points. Of course, the 4th elder had only casually promised to calm Zhao Feng down. Could it be that he's confident? The 4th elder was dumbfounded. If Zhao Feng wasn't confident, why would he mention this to him before the 4th match? The 4th elder's heart began to thump. When Ancient God Gilded Gold first appeared, he had no hope that the spiritual race could win. He only hoped that they wouldn't lose too badly. But now, could the spiritual race win? For some reason, the 4th elder began to look forward to it. The other spiritual race disciples also had excited looks on their faces. Only Ancient God Ice Origin stood to the side in a daze. This gambling battle between the two races was simply the most painful and torturous moment of his life. Boom! On the fighting platform, Zhao Feng and Ancient God Gilded Gold had already begun their fight. Ancient God Gilded Gold gripped his dark yellow giant axe, and his body was enveloped in golden flames. His attacks were bold and powerful as he pressed toward Zhao Feng. As for Zhao Feng, he used his advantage in speed to dodge and attack the weak points of Ancient God Gilded Gold's defense. Ancient God Gilded Gold relied on his high-quality divine weapon to unleash powerful attacks, but he found it very difficult to injure Zhao Feng. Furthermore, his physique and defense were very strong, so it was very difficult for Zhao Feng's attacks to cause much damage to him. Although Zhao Feng had killed a rank 7 Ancient God before, Zhao Feng was still a rank 7 Ancient God. But that was because of the absolute defense of the space-time robe and the help of the Black Destruction Serpent Dragon. In this place, Zhao Feng could not use the space-time robe, so he could not let Ancient God Gilded Gold approach him. Do you only know how to dodge? Ancient God Gilded Gold jeered. He had fought 6 battles in a row without any rest. Why did Zhao Feng have to fight him? Moreover, Ancient God Gilded Gold had come prepared this time. Heaven-shattering slash. Ancient god Gilded Gold gathered up his energy and prepared to use a powerful combat skill. Now's the time. Ancient god Gilded Gold's eyes exploded with light. Just as Zhao Feng was about to use instant movement, he took out an 8 trigrams crystal plate. Activating the 8 trigrams crystal plate, a strange spatial energy began to spread out and overlap with the surrounding space. A space-sealing divine artifact. Zhao Feng's brow creased, and then he unfurled a pair of golden wings on his back and flew backward. The blazing gold race had entrusted everything to ancient god Gilded Gold, so they had definitely analyzed Zhao Feng's fighting style and thought of a way to counter it. For example, the black ring on ancient god Gilded Gold's hand was a high-quality divine artifact protecting the soul. Besides this, the blazing gold race would naturally counter Zhao Feng's space intent. Kaboom! Ancient god Gilded Gold unleashed an illusory axe of golden flames, but Zhao Feng was able to dodge it. You're very smart to actually be on guard. Ancient god Gilded Gold's sudden use of a space-sealing divine artifact didn't produce any surprising results, but he didn't care. In his view, Zhao Feng, who had fought 6 battles in a row, was doomed to lose. The things the blazing gold race had prepared for him were completely unnecessary. That was close. The spiritual race disciples broke out in cold sweat on Zhao Feng's behalf. Ancient god Gilded Gold has too many divine artifacts, and Zhao Feng, an upper echelon elder, sorrowfully sighed. If they had known this would happen, they would have prepared some divine artifacts for Zhao Feng as well. If Zhao Feng had a high-quality offensive divine artifact, the outcome might not have been so certain. The spiritual race disciples felt indignant for Zhao Feng. A suitable high-quality offensive divine artifact could increase the power of an ancient god's attack by 40%. The difference between having a divine artifact and not having a divine artifact was enormous. But for Zhao Feng to be able to fight with ancient god Gilded Gold to this level without a divine artifact was truly astonishing. On the other side, the upper echelon members of the blazing gold race all appeared confident of victory. Swish! Swish! Zhao Feng used the metal lightning radiance wings, transforming into a streak of golden light that flew across the stage. 5 elements tribulation, lightning palm. When lightning, I flame. Zhao Feng found a gap and used both a combat skill and an eye bloodline technique at the same time. Boom! Bang! Ancient god Gilded Gold swung his dark yellow axe, unleashing a wave of golden flames that pulverized Zhao Feng's 5-colored lightning palm. Hiss! Ancient god Gilded Gold felt pain in his soul and hissed. After a few moments of hesitation, he began to attack Zhao Feng. I understand. A sharp light flashed through Zhao Feng's eyes. Just now, he noticed that when he used his soul eye bloodline technique on ancient god Gilded Gold, the power of the ring on ancient god Gilded Gold's finger had not reached the level of a high-quality divine artifact. This was definitely because this high-quality divine artifact had been temporarily lent to ancient god Gilded Gold by the upper echelon members of the blazing gold race. How could it be that easy to refine a high-grade god artifact? Without completely refining it, ancient god Gilded Gold would not be able to use its full power. Thus, Zhao Feng's soul eye bloodline technique was still very effective. Water lightning, illusion prison. Zhao Feng's dreamy silver eye slowly began to turn, shooting out dazzling and beautiful beams of multicolored light. Boom! A dreamy mist slowly engulfed ancient god Gilded Gold's surroundings. The dreamy mist quickly transformed into an illusory blue prison of water, trapping him within. The moment he unleashed his eye bloodline technique, Zhao Feng unleashed a furious barrage of attacks, unleashing one palm of blue lightning after another. Cackrack! Sensing that danger was approaching, ancient god Gilded Gold used his secret defensive skill. A golden ring of light immediately appeared around his body. There were golden flame patterns on the ring of light. At the same time, ancient god Gilded Gold placed the high-quality divine artifact against the wall. Boom! Bang! Crash! Ancient god Gilded Gold was pushed back some distance before finally coming to a stop. I didn't think that after 6 battles, you would still be able to display this level of strength. Ancient God Gilded Gold was rather surprised. His expression suddenly turned cold and harsh, and a somber aura began to spread out. Going to use his full power? Zhao Feng muttered. He had become an ancient god in a single step. This was already proof that Zhao Feng had far more resources and potential than an ordinary person. Although he had consumed some energy in the previous battle, it hadn't been very much. Heaven-shaking giant axe slash. Ancient God Gilded Gold roared, the image of an enormous axe appearing on the stone axe in his hand. With a single strike, a gigantic golden flame light slash shot out horizontally. This attack covered almost half the stage, making it impossible for Zhao Feng to dodge. Haha, Ancient God Gilded Gold is finally getting serious. Since that's the case, Zhao Feng's loss is assured. The upper echelon members of the Blazing Gold race gave sinister smiles. The spectators around the stage also sensed that the battle was about to come to an end. The massive slash of golden flame was about to strike Zhao Feng. God-Eye disintegration. Zhao Feng secretly activated his God-Eye and locked onto a certain spot in front of him. A dreamy mist shot out of his left eye. Suddenly, a gap appeared on the massive slash of golden flame. Dooish. The massive attack rumbled through the gap, and Zhao Feng happened to be right in front of it, completely unscathed. What sort of eye bloodline technique is this? Ancient God Gilded Gold had sensed that Zhao Feng had used an eye bloodline technique, but he couldn't tell why. Tribulation Lightning Eye Slash. Zhao Feng immediately used an eye bloodline technique. Whoosh! A blade of white lightning slashed out of Ancient God Gilded Gold's body. You're seeking death. Ancient God Gilded Gold's face was twisted with rage. He realized that although Zhao Feng had avoided a fatal wound by using an eye bloodline technique, he was still rather injured. Bzzz. A dazzling golden light suddenly surged out of Ancient God Gilded Gold's body, and an intent energy that could destroy all began to spread out. Destruction intent. Watch out! The spiritual race members called out in alarm. On the other side, the Blazing Gold race members gave smug smiles. It's about to end. Everyone else had expressions on their faces that said this outcome was within their expectations. Ancient God Gilded Gold had a high-quality divine artifact, and with this powerful destruction intent, Zhao Feng's defeat was assured. But Zhao Feng wasn't very panicked. On the contrary, he was rather excited. I wanted you to use this energy. Zhao Feng gave a crafty smile. God-Eye. Duplication. Zhao Feng's left eye focused on Ancient God Gilded Gold's destruction energy, and a powerful eye intent surged out. Zhao Feng quickly succeeded in duplicating that energy. At the same time, a tribulation lightning eye bloodline technique began to gather in his left eye. Die Zhao Feng. Ancient God Gilded Gold roared, his arms fiercely swinging his giant axe as he prepared to use this blow to decide the outcome. Kaboom! The ancient stone axe in his hand emitted a destructive force that could shake the heavens and earth. God-Eye duplication. Tribulation lightning eye flame. But at this moment, Zhao Feng's powerful eye bloodline technique was unleashed ahead of time. He had fused the destruction energy he had duplicated from Ancient God Gilded Gold with his tribulation lightning eye flame. This tribulation lightning eye flame was unprecedentedly powerful. Boom! Hiss! A dazzling lightning flame suddenly descended on Ancient God Gilded Gold's head. Even before this dreadful soul destruction energy had descended, Ancient God Gilded Gold's heart thumped in fear. Ancient God Gilded Gold hurriedly activated the defensive soul divine artifact on his finger. Bzzz. A dark ripple of light engulfed his soul body. At almost the same moment, Kakrak, the strengthened tribulation lightning eye flame fused with the God-Eye duplication exploded with forbidden destruction energy. The dark ripple of light instantly dimmed and shattered. Chapter 1288. What happened? What happened to ancient god Gilded Gold? Ancient god Gilded Gold, who had been preparing to unleash a supreme attack on Zhao Feng to defeat him, instantly lost his momentum. At the same time, a soul-destroying energy descended on ancient god Gilded Gold's head. The moment they felt this power, everyone's hearts and souls trembled. Boom! A ball of dazzling lightning flame instantly destroyed the dark barrier around ancient god Gilded Gold's soul body. After all, this high-quality, soul-protecting divine artifact had not been completely refined by ancient god Gilded Gold, so its defensive capabilities were greatly reduced. Meanwhile, ancient god Gilded Gold's screams of pain echoed for tens of thousands of li. His face contorted as he curled up on the ground, struggling nonstop. The spectators shuddered in fear. They could all sense the power of the soul lightning, and the defensive soul art protecting ancient god Gilded Gold was instantly blasted apart. It was hard to imagine just how much damage ancient god Gilded Gold was enduring. As ancient god Gilded Gold's screams grew weaker and weaker, everyone sensed that ancient god Gilded Gold's soul energy was getting weaker and weaker, on the verge of disappearing. Suddenly, ancient god Gilded Gold stopped struggling and lay on the ground. Although his aura was weak, he was not dead. After a moment of silence, the entire venue erupted. Ancient god Gilded Gold lost. What happened just now? This development and result made everyone extremely surprised. Many people didn't even understand how ancient god Gilded Gold had lost. He actually won. Oh my god, Zhao Feng actually won. The people of the spirit race were stunned for a moment before they cried out in alarm. They felt like they were in a dream. From the beginning, where they were bound to lose, they gradually gained the upper hand, and finally, they reversed the situation. Even the upper echelons of the spirit tribe stiffened. They were so excited that they didn't know what to say. On the other hand, all the members of the Blazing Gold race had extremely gloomy expressions, and a scorching physical energy soared into the sky. They all believed that once ancient god Gilded Gold used his trump card, Zhao Feng's defeat would be assured. However, he did not expect such a huge change to occur at such a crucial moment. Ancient god Gilded Gold was instantly defeated. They even suspected that they were hallucinating. No one could accept this result. Junior, you actually try to kill him? Even if such a powerful soul attack didn't kill ancient god Gilded Gold, it would have inflicted irreparable damage to his soul. Elder Jean of the Blazing Gold race roared, and a searing heat began to spread across the stage. In an instant, Zhao Feng felt as if the sky had collapsed, causing him to be unable to breathe. In addition, a scorching aura of flames slowly surged toward Zhao Feng, making him feel like he was in a magma hell. His entire body, including his soul, was being roasted by the flames. The Blazing Gold race truly has no sense of shame. A peak ancient god of the older generation is actually interfering in a battle between the younger generation. At that moment, the fourth elder of the spirit race spoke. A thick aura of the heavens and earth descended upon Zhao Feng's body, instantly eliminating all the discomfort Zhao Feng was feeling. I didn't do anything. I just want to ask you, a disciple of the spirit clan, why are you so vicious and merciless? Elder Jean boldly and confidently said, your skills are inferior, so why do you have to talk so much nonsense? If Zhao Feng really was vicious and merciless, he wouldn't have left anyone alive in his battle with the true gods of the Blazing Gold race. The fourth elder coldly snorted, his voice suffused with deep disdain. The Blazing Gold race had no way to refute these words. Okay, the gambling match is over. The spiritual race wins. The wrinkled elder of the life, sacred land, said with a gloomy expression. The two five-star factions immediately stopped their standoff. Whoosh! Under the watchful gazes of the crowd, Zhao Feng left the stage and returned to the spiritual races area. On the other side, ancient god Gilded Gold was carried off the stage by the Blazing Gold race disciples. Zhao Feng, you're truly formidable. It was all thanks to you this time. All the members of the spiritual race greeted Zhao Feng with smiles. Zhao Feng, You've rendered a great service this time. You won't receive a single one of the 500,000 contribution points. The fourth elder's face was wreathed in joy. Compared to the spiritual race's harvest, 500,000 contribution points was nothing. The other spiritual race disciples immediately cast envious gazes at Zhao Feng. The majority of the spiritual race had only received 10,000 contribution points for their victory this time. True God Long Yuan and that delicate woman had each received 30,000 contribution points for defeating one person. But Zhao Feng alone had received 500,000. Such an enormous number of contribution points was something that could not be obtained even after several decades of missions. But all of this was what Zhao Feng deserved. As for why Zhao Feng was able to instantly defeat ancient god Gilded Gold, many members of the spiritual race were not very surprised. This was because Zhao Feng had used this eye bloodline technique in the spiritual race before. The Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein will be divided according to the original rules. The gambling match between the two races is over. The wrinkled elder of the life, Sacred Land, loudly announced. With this, the curtains fell on the gambling match between the two races. This gambling match had been extremely brilliant, with far too many unexpected aspects. The members of the Blazing Gold race all had dejected faces. 7 of the participants had been defeated by Zhao Feng, including 2 ancient gods. The participants of the Blazing Gold race no longer had the face to face the other members of the Blazing Gold race. With the gambling match over, the gathered factions slowly began to disperse. Factions that had a good relationship with the spiritual race or were even stronger came to congratulate the spiritual race. Even a representative of the Life Sacred Land came to the spiritual race's side. The Life Sacred Land's actions made the Blazing Gold race members grimace. The spiritual race's performance this time was truly astonishing. The wrinkled elder glanced at Zhao Feng and then turned to the fourth elder. At this moment, Xiahou Wu came to Zhao Feng's side. Zhao Feng, you've truly progressed quickly. Xiahou Wu felt somewhat ashamed of his inferiority. More than a year ago, he had still been able to fiercely clash with Zhao Feng. But now, he estimated that he wouldn't even be able to last 5 moves against Zhao Feng. Will you be going to the God Eye Assembly in half a year? Xiahou Wu asked. God Eye Assembly? Zhao Feng was confused. This was the first time he had heard of this term. At the same time, he was also wondering, will there be one of the 8 great god eyes in this assembly? You don't know. Xiahou Wu was surprised, and then he slowly began to explain. The God Eye Assembly was held by a special faction in the ancient desolate realm of gods called the God Eye Hall. The God Eye Hall was a faction hidden in the shadows and spread throughout the ancient desolate realm of gods. The representatives of this faction were all God Eye descendants. There is also a rumor that the leader of this God Eye Hall was a God Eye deity. Zhao Feng was stunned. If this was really the case, then this faction was probably on the level of a God Realm Sacred Land. This faction is extremely special. It has very few members, and it never appears in the outside world under the name of a faction. It doesn't associate with any other faction or compete for resources. Even if you join this faction, you won't receive any benefits or protection. Although it was a faction, every member of this faction was extremely free, and some were even members of other major factions. Xiahou Wu continued his introduction. At present, the God Eye Hall is only doing one thing. Every once in a while, it will hold a God Eye Assembly in each zone. Although it was called a God Eye Assembly, the participants were almost all God Eye descendants. What is the main point of the God Eye Assembly? Zhao Feng straightforwardly asked. If such a powerful and unique faction only did one thing, hold a God Eye Assembly, then this assembly would definitely be unusual. This assembly mainly gathers the descendants of the 8 great God Eyes of the various zones together. There will be all sorts of activities, transactions, or missions. Xiahou Wu smiled. Your eye is extremely special. Perhaps you can find the answer in it. In addition, your eye has already reached the quasi-God Eye level, but it seems like you haven't used its full power. Xiahou Wu's eyes focused on Zhao Feng's left eye. the eye of life that he was so proud would inexplicably tremble every time he saw Zhao Feng's left eye. Zhao Feng had a pensive look on his face. He had heard about the classification of quasi-god eyes from Xiahou Wu. At this moment, Zhao Feng finally realized that his understanding of the 8 great god eyes was truly pitifully small. The 8 great god eyes had gathered together. Zhao Feng was inexplicably excited. My eye does not belong to the descendants of the 8 great god eyes. Zhao Feng hesitated for a few moments before saying this. All eyes in the fan universe originate from the 8 great god eyes. In the past, only the descendants of the 8 great god eyes were allowed to participate in the god eye assembly. But later on, the conditions were relaxed. Anyone with an eye bloodline can participate. Xiahou Wu straightforwardly said, "Half a year from now, the people of the God Eye Hall will hold the God Eye Assembly." After saying this, Xiahou Wu left with the people from the Life Sacred Land. The Life Sacred Land was just a witness to this gambling match. Now that the gambling match was over, there was naturally no need for them to remain. You can choose to stay here or return to the spiritual race. If you stay here, you will be responsible for mining the Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein and will receive additional rewards. The 4th elder said to the crowd, "I want to take a trip back." Zhao Feng straightforwardly said, Ancient God Ice Origin was originally planning to return to the spiritual race, but when he heard this, he stopped. In the end, only 3 people chose to return to the spiritual race. With the 5th elder and a few upper echelon members leading the way, Zhao Feng's party smoothly returned to the spiritual race. The 5th elder immediately dispatched a group of periphery disciples to mine the Heaven Crystal Fire Spirit Vein. Upon returning to the spiritual race, Zhao Feng entered seclusion for a while. He had comprehended many things from the consecutive battles he had just experienced. In addition, he had probably yet to report the 500,000 contribution points. 10 days later, Zhao Feng emerged and headed for the spiritual race's all-spirit hall. Brother Feng has come out of seclusion. Hello, Brother Zhao Feng. Along the way, he met several core disciples who enthusiastically greeted him. In just a few days, Zhao Feng's performance in the gambling match between the 2 races had spread throughout the spiritual race. They were so friendly to Zhao Feng naturally because Zhao Feng had won glory for the spiritual race. At the same time, he had displayed a formidable strength that all disciples had to fear. Zhao Feng quickly arrived at the spiritual race's all-spirit hall. The moment he arrived, an elder walked out of the gates of all-spirit hall. "You're finally here." The guardian elder faintly smiled, as if he had been waiting for Zhao Feng this entire time. I want to exchange for a technique," Zhao Feng flatly said. The 2 then stepped into the highest floor of all Spirit Hall. Chapter 1289. The moment Zhao Feng entered All Spirit Hall, he immediately attracted the attention of many spiritual race disciples. He didn't care, and he walked with the guardian elder to the highest floor. He's Zhao Feng. 1 year ago, he became a rank 6 true god and is now an ancient god. And in the gambling match between the 2 races, he single-handedly turned the tide and defeated 2 blazing gold race ancient gods. The upper echelon of the spiritual race rewarded him with 500,000 contribution points. The many spiritual race disciples who were choosing their techniques couldn't help but sigh in admiration at Zhao Feng's exploits. 500,000 contribution points. All the spiritual race disciples couldn't help but swallow. The majority of them were low-ranked true gods, and the techniques that could be cultivated to rank 7 ancient god only had 10,000 some points, 20,000 at most. They would never be able to finish spending 500,000 contribution points. Zhao Feng quickly arrived at the highest floor of all Spirit Hall. Only those who had reached the ancient god level could enter this floor. The only people present were Zhao Feng and the guardian elder of all Spirit Hall. This final floor was extremely empty, with only 4 translucent crystal walls. Every wall was embedded with crystal beads of different sizes and colors. Each crystal bead had a god-tier cultivation method or battle skill. Do you want to choose for yourself? Or do you want me to help you choose? The guardian elder smiled. I need a technique that can help me break through to the God Lord level. Zhao Feng straightforwardly said. It was naturally best if one could cultivate a technique of the same level to the God Lord level. Being able to cultivate a technique to the God Lord level was proof that the technique itself was more complete and would greatly increase one's strength. In addition, any technique that could help one break through to the God Lord level could be considered a top-class, divine-level technique. Look over there. The guardian elder revealed a smile, as if he had expected this. He then pointed with his finger. Zhao Feng looked at the eastern wall. At the very top of the wall were 4 crystal beads. The spiritual race has 4 techniques that can help one break through to the God Lord level. The hall guarding elder introduced with a slightly proud expression. The first technique is for those with the spiritual race bloodline. You don't have the spiritual race bloodline, so this technique isn't suitable for you, so I won't introduce it. The guardian elder introduced the other 3 techniques to Zhao Feng. The second technique was called 5 Elements Myriad Arts and focused on 5 elements intent. The 5 elements profound contained 5 different types of profound energy. When cultivating, one had to ensure that the gap between the 5 types of profound energy was not too big. Otherwise, it would be very difficult to improve. The third technique, Heavenly Lightning Fire Intent, was suitable for cultivators who cultivated the Tao of lightning and fire. Cultivating this technique would increase one's battle prowess, and it was relatively easy. Overall, it conformed to the norm. The fourth technique was called the Chaos Heaven Void Origin Technique, and it contained the 5 elements of heaven and earth, time, and space. It fused various profundities to produce chaos divine energy, and its might was extremely formidable. But because this art was too inclusive and did not have a clear goal, it was rather difficult to become a God Lord. Moreover, the art itself was also extremely difficult to cultivate. Of 7 elements you can use, Feng said, your Heaven King Chun, Ancient Chun Feng, Chun of Chun, Elder of the Elders, Elder of Heaven. The Hall Guardian Elder gave a suggestion. Chaos Heaven Void Origin Technique. When Zhao Feng heard this technique's introduction, he was stunned. Originally, he had come here to choose the 5 elements cultivation method that the Hall Guardian Elder had mentioned previously. But he discovered that the power of this 5 elements myriad arts was inferior to the other 2. Moreover, Zhao Feng also discovered that this Chaos Heaven Void Origin Technique was more suitable for him than the 5 elements myriad arts. After all, if he cultivated the 5 elements myriad arts, he would have to abandon wind and lightning intent. But the Chaos Heaven Void Origin Technique was different. It contained almost all intents. I want the Chaos Heaven Void Origin Technique, Zhao Feng said after thinking for a few moments. Chaos Heaven Void Origin Technique? The Guardian Elder was stunned. He originally believed that Zhao Feng would choose the 5 elements myriad arts. Zhao Feng, this Chaos Heaven Void Origin Technique is extremely difficult. The more intent energy there is, the stronger it will be, but the more intent energy there is, the harder it will be to control and use. The Guardian Elder had a better understanding of these 4 techniques and immediately advised, I want it. Zhao Feng's gaze was resolute. He had too much intent energy now. He really cannot bear to give up some. Seeing that Zhao Feng was so determined, the Guardian Elder did not say anything else and took out a crystal token. Divine power was infused into it, and a crystal orb on the wall flew out and floated in front of Zhao Feng. You can only leave after memorizing this technique. At the same time, you cannot leak this technique. Once discovered, the Spirit Clan will punish you severely. After saying this, the Guardian Elder left the place. Zhao Feng sat down cross-legged and delved his consciousness into the crystal orb. In an instant, the information of the Chaos Heaven Void Origin Technique surged into his mind. Chaos Heaven Void Origin Technique contains the 5 elements of heaven and earth, space and time, and encompasses all powers. When perfected, it can even evolve a trace of chaotic power. As expected, it didn't disappoint me. Zhao Feng's eyes were filled with joy. He was skilled in many intents, including the 5 elements, wind, lightning, space-time. Moreover, he had the god's spiritual eye, which gave him incredible comprehension abilities. He was even more adept at comprehending intents. If he wanted to, he could even comprehend some other intents. As he thought of this, Zhao Feng couldn't help but recall the God Eye assembly that Xiahou Wu had mentioned. It's an assembly of the 8 great God Eyes. I should be able to obtain a lot of information regarding the 8 great God Eyes, techniques for using eye bloodline techniques, and even methods to cultivate eye bloodline techniques. Zhao Feng was extremely tempted by this prospect, but he was only worried about the possibility of his eye becoming the 9th God Eye. If I can go there and use the true power of my God, it'll be worth it, even if I have to take some risks. After a long while, Zhao Feng made his decision. This mysterious left eye had always been his greatest secret. Perhaps once he unearthed the potential of his left eye, the secret of this eye would also be revealed. Thus, Zhao Feng decided to take a look at the God Eye assembly. One day later, Zhao Feng relied on the formidable memory abilities of his left eye to completely memorize the Chaos Heaven Void origin technique. As soon as he walked out of this floor, the hall guarding elder rushed over. "You've already memorized it?" The guardian elder asked in surprise. A book in an ocean, an art that could allow one to break into the God Lord level. Even someone with the abilities of a rank 7 ancient god would normally need 10 some days to completely memorize it. Zhao Feng nodded and returned the crystal bead to the guardian elder. "Zhao Feng." At this moment, a voice called out in alarm. Zhao Feng saw that it was an ancient god that had appeared in the contest for the pure spirit sacred water, Jin Wei's older brother, Jin Kuan. Zhao Feng remembered that he had sensed this person's deep hostility toward him. Zhao Feng shot him a glance before leaving. "Damn!" Jin Kuan clenched his fists and clenched his teeth. He had always wanted to challenge Zhao Feng, but after Zhao Feng broke into the true god level, he entered seclusion and then snuck out. Once he returned to the spiritual race, he began the contest for the pure spirit sacred water. And now, Zhao Feng was representing the spiritual race in the gambling match between the 2 races, so he could not influence Zhao Feng. But Zhao Feng had returned with an ancient god cultivation, and he had heard that in the gambling match, Zhao Feng alone had defeated 7 members of the Blazing Gold race, including 2 ancient gods. At this moment, Jin Kuan no longer had the courage to challenge Zhao Feng. After leaving All Spirit Hall, Zhao Feng prepared to return to his residence and cultivate the Chaos Heaven Void origin technique. But on his way back, he heard a shocking piece of news. The spiritual race's Zhao Yufei had directly attained rank 5 of the heavenly divine realm and become a prodigy of the spiritual race bloodline. I didn't think that Yufei would succeed. Zhao Feng was elated. When he returned, he did not see Zhao Yufei. After asking around, he learned that Zhao Yufei had moved to another place to break into the heavenly divine realm. At the time, Zhao Feng felt that Zhao Yufei was a little too impatient. If she had accumulated a little more time, she would have been able to reach rank 5 of the heavenly divine realm. He hadn't expected for Zhao Yufei to successfully attain rank 5 of the heavenly divine realm. Zhao Feng had broken into rank 6 of the heavenly divine realm, and his talent was even better than Zhao Yufei's. But Zhao Yufei had the spiritual race bloodline, and was completely different from Zhao Feng. Zhao Yufei has become the most dazzling existence of the spiritual race bloodline, directly attaining rank 5 of the heavenly divine realm. And with the cultivation characteristics of the spiritual race bloodline, Zhao Yufei's future accomplishments are immeasurable. Zhao Yufei's breakthrough shook the entire spiritual race. One day, Zhao Yufei returned to her palace. "Brother Feng, I will catch up to you very soon." Zhao Yufei exuded a transcendent and refined temperament, like a pure and untainted crystal fairy. "Is that so? I'm already an ancient god," Zhao Feng teased. Zhao Yufei had been in seclusion all this time and did not know about the bet between the 2 races. How is this possible? Zhao Yufei's mouth opened slightly in shock. Upon closer inspection, she discovered that Zhao Feng had indeed become an ancient god. Damn it, my spiritual race bloodline can't catch up to you in terms of cultivation speed. Zhao Yufei was a little unhappy. But in her heart, she was happy for Zhao Feng. Zhao Feng was somewhat speechless. If he hadn't displayed extraordinary talent and potential, would he still be safe and sound in the spiritual race? 3 days later, the upper echelon of the spiritual race held a banquet to celebrate Zhao Yufei's breakthrough into rank 5 true god. This banquet attracted the majority of the factions of the Xiling Zone. Anyone who was present was at least a powerful true god expert, and there were quite a few ancient god experts as well. The spiritual race's bloodline was extremely special, and it was endowed with exceptional talent and cultivation. The fact that Zhao Yufei had directly attained rank 5 of the heavenly divine realm meant that she had a decent chance of becoming a god lord in the future. Quite a few ancient god upper echelon members of the spiritual race wanted to establish a good relationship with Zhao Yufei. Although Zhao Yufei was the star of this banquet, her beauty causing all the young elites of the Xiling Zone to fall head over heels for her. But Zhao Feng, standing next to her, was just as dazzling. He's Zhao Feng, the one who directly attained rank 6 of the heavenly divine realm, broke into the ancient god realm in a single year, and defeated 7 disciples of the blazing gold race. In the future, the spiritual race has a high chance of becoming the number 1 5-star faction of the Xiling Zone. Everyone looked at Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei with envy and praise. At the same time, they sighed in admiration at the spiritual race's fortune. Perhaps after several years, Zhao Feng and Zhao Yufei would both become god lords. At the banquet, the upper echelon members of the spiritual race were grinning from ear to ear. In recent times, the many incidents that had occurred in the spiritual race had become the hottest topic of the Xiling Zone. 3 days later, the banquet came to an end. Zhao Feng returned to his residence and prepared to enter seclusion to cultivate the Chaos Heaven Void origin technique. Chapter 1290. Within the palace, Zhao Feng was seated cross-legged on the throne. Information about the Chaos Heaven Void origin technique slowly emerged in his mind. Zhao Feng gave it a cursory glance. Although the Chaos Heaven Void origin technique was an extremely inclusive technique, it required one intent to connect all the intents together. And this intent had to be far stronger than all the other intents. Of all the intents I have, space intent is the strongest. Zhao Feng's mind was as clear as a mirror. Thanks to the space-time robe, Zhao Feng's space intent had far surpassed the 5 elements and wind lightning that he had always been studying. The Chaos Heaven Void origin technique had a total of 6 levels, and the requirement to cultivate the first level was to have at least one type of profound energy reach the 5th level. The sign of the 2nd level was that the profound power that connected all the profound meanings had reached the 6th level, and so on and so forth. With each level of the technique, one's intent would increase by 1 level. At the 5th level, the intent one primarily comprehended would reach level 9. The 6th level required one to break through to the God Lord level. This means that I'll be cultivating space intent as my primary. Zhao Feng softly muttered. It seemed like as long as he cultivated his space intent, the number of levels of the technique would gradually increase. But the true power of the Chaos Heaven Void origin technique lay in its many intents. Therefore, while cultivating the space profundity, he couldn't neglect the other profundities. The advantage of this technique was that Chaos Origin Divine Power contained the characteristics of all the intents, making it almost impossible to counter. In addition, Zhao Feng was most interested in the sliver of primal chaos energy that could be produced at the highest level of perfection. After reading through the technique, Zhao Feng began to cultivate. The first level focused on space intent, connecting all the other intents and fusing them into divine power to form Chaos Origin Divine Power. This was not difficult for Zhao Feng. Only 1 hour had passed. A twisted ball of multicolor divine power had appeared in Zhao Feng's divine stages. Its quality was far superior to Zhao Feng's 5 elements tribulation, lightning divine power. Furthermore, in order to cultivate the Chaos Heaven Void origin technique, Zhao Feng only needed to continuously fuse the power within the divine dais for a moment. If Zhao Feng wanted to cultivate the 5 elements 10,000 arts, he would have to eliminate all the other powers in his spirit pedestal. Buzz! Zhao Feng activated the Chaos Divine Power he had just refined. A ball of dim light twisted and changed in front of Zhao Feng. The color changes in the Chaos Origin Divine Power were somewhat similar to the color changes in Zhao Feng's dreamy silver hair. Chaos Origin Divine Power is at least 2 times stronger than ancient god Gilded Gold's divine power. Zhao Feng took a deep breath. He found that this divine power was extremely heavy and could absorb any power in the world. And when it was used as a means of attack, the possibility of it being countered was also very low. If he had cultivated the Chaos Heaven Void origin technique, he would have been able to rely on this divine power to directly contend against ancient god Gilded Gold in this gambling match. Sensing the power of the Chaos Heaven Void origin technique, Zhao Feng continued to cultivate. 3 months later, Zhao Feng finally managed to refine all the energy in his divine stages into Chaos Origin Divine Power. However, this Chaos Origin Divine Power wasn't pure. The main problem was that Zhao Feng had not perfectly fused all his intents together. If the majority of my intents are at the same level, I'll be able to link them together even more perfectly. Zhao Feng realized this problem when he was refining Chaos Origin Divine Power. For example, metal and lightning intents had both reached level 5, so they could be very well linked together. But if they were linked together with wood intent, which was only at level 4, it would not be very perfect. Of course, this also had to do with technique. After all, Zhao Feng hadn't been cultivating the Chaos Heaven Void origin technique for very long. Currently, Zhao Feng's goal was to raise all his intents except time intent to level 5. This way, the power of his Chaos Origin Divine Power would also greatly increase. Swish! Zhao Feng once more arrived at the 5-colored Crystal Palace. The moment he appeared, he heard someone say, "Zhao Feng, I am willing to be your servant." A figure walked up to Zhao Feng and kneeled. Who else is there? Zhao Feng's gaze swept over everyone in the palace. Soon, more than 10 people walked out one after another. The remaining people were still struggling. The majority of them came from extremely powerful factions, such as Quasi-God Ziyi and Quasi-God Gui. I need a large number of resources to cultivate. The properties of this crystal palace will quickly weaken until it no longer exists. Zhao Feng straightforwardly said. This palace was formed from countless intent crystals, and each time Zhao Feng came, he would take away a large number of these intent crystals. The properties of the 5-colored Crystal Palace had long ago declined. If not for the fact that Zhao Feng was the controller, the quasi-gods and true gods inside would have already escaped. Quite a few people present rejoiced at these words. Once the structure of the 5 Elements Palace was destroyed, they would have a chance to escape. But even more people had grim expressions and immediately stepped forward, willing to become Zhao Feng's servants. Because this palace will soon cease to exist, there's no telling when I will kill all of you. Zhao Feng's cold and indifferent voice rang out. To him, it didn't matter if he killed these people or not. If they knew what was good for them, Zhao Feng would let them live. Zhao Feng, you dare? The quasi-gods and true gods of Violet Night Hall were alarmed and immediately bellowed. Zhao Feng's eyes flashed as he waved a hand. A dark, multicolored beam of divine power shot forward like a steel cannonball. Boom! Bang! The Chaos Origin Divine Power pierced through a rank 5 true god of Violet Night Hall, killing him in body and soul. Meanwhile, the Chaos Origin Divine Power, Zhao Feng unleashed struck the crystal wall behind him, sending several intent crystals crashing down. Hiss! The scene was eerily silent. A moment ago, the people of Violet Night Hall said that Zhao Feng wouldn't dare But a moment later, Zhao Feng had killed the people of Violet Night Hall. Zhao Feng was simply too powerful. Killing a rank 5 true god was as easy as crushing an ant. At the same time, they had been imprisoned by Zhao Feng for so long that they had not been rescued. And Zhao Feng was not only alive and well, his cultivation had advanced by leaps and bounds. This made them feel that unless they submitted to Zhao Feng, they would never be able to leave. I'm willing to submit to you. I'm also willing to be your servant. Under the threat of death, they chose to compromise. In their view, only by surviving could anything be possible. In the end, even the people of Violet Night Hall submitted. Without another word, Zhao Feng took them into the ancient dream realm and placed them under Zhao Wan's command. Zhao Wan and Zhao Wang had already succeeded in breaking into the heavenly divine realm. Both of them had attained rank 5 of the heavenly divine realm, and their foundations were extremely stable. Moreover, their status in the Blood Flame Qilin race was similar to that of the elders of the Blood Flame Qilin race. They were treated extremely well, and their cultivation paths were extremely smooth. Lord God, how may I be of service to you? An upper echelon member of the Blood Flame Qilin race deferentially asked. I need resources to comprehend wind, lightning, intent. Zhao Feng straightforwardly said. However, the Blood Flame Qilin race did not cultivate wind, lightning, intent, so they had very few resources. After taking everything, Zhao Feng left the ancient dream realm. Let's go take a look at the spiritual race's trading area. Zhao Feng walked out of the palace. He quickly arrived at a bustling trading area. This trading area existed specifically for the disciples of the spiritual race to trade with each other. The main reason Zhao Feng came here was to buy resources to comprehend the laws of wind lightning. In exchange, Zhao Feng had taken out 5 elements intent crystals. After all, the majority of people only cultivated 1 or 2 of the 5 elements intent. Intent crystals were extremely rare, and Zhao Feng's intent crystals were of extremely high quality. The moment Zhao Feng took them out, many people in the trading area began to ask about the price and buy them. I'm only going to trade for resources to cultivate wind, lightning, intent. With these words, Zhao Feng waited where he was. More and more people came to trade with the resources Zhao Feng needed. Once Zhao Feng had purchased a certain amount, he left. That's right, the God Eye Assembly is in 3 months, but I still don't know where it will be held. Zhao Feng suddenly thought of something. Moreover, Zhao Feng wasn't the slightest bit familiar with the God Eye Assembly, so it was better to find someone else. He then wrote a letter to the Life, Sacred Lands, Xiahou Wu. Upon returning to his residence, Zhao Feng discovered that Zhao Yufei had been waiting in front of his hall for some time. Brother Feng, spar with me. Zhao Yufei had a dazzling smile on her face. Zhao Feng couldn't help but recall that in the continent zone, the two of them would often exchange pointers to raise each other's strength. But now, the gap between the two was too vast. A casual strike from Zhao Feng could utterly defeat Zhao Yufei. Suppress your cultivation to that of a rank 5 true god and don't use your eye bloodline. Under Zhao Yufei's insistent request, Zhao Feng did as she said, and the two began to exchange pointers. In the end, Zhao Feng used his rank 5 true god strength and didn't even use his eye bloodline to easily defeat Zhao Yufei in a few moves. Brother Feng, your divine power has been suppressed to that of a rank 5 true god. So how is it still so strong? Zhao Yufei asked, panting for breath after several battles. In their sparring, Zhao Feng had only used the most basic of divine power, but even so, Zhao Yufei had been unable to hold her own. Moreover, Zhao Yufei had the spiritual race bloodline, so her divine power was much stronger than that of an ordinary rank 5 true god. I've already cultivated a technique above the ancient god level. Even if my divine power has been reduced to rank 5, it's still extremely powerful, Zhao Feng said with a smile. His divine power had long ago transformed into Chaos Origin divine power. Even if he suppressed his cultivation, Chaos Origin divine power was essentially invincible among rank 5 true gods. I'll definitely catch up to you. Although Zhao Yufei was a little depressed, she was in high spirits. Yufei, in 3 months, I want to leave the spiritual race and experience the God I assembly. Zhao Feng explained this matter. At the very beginning, only God I descendants were allowed to participate in the God I assembly. Later on, the conditions were relaxed so that anyone with an I bloodline could participate. Zhao Yufei had apparently heard of the God I assembly and knew that she couldn't go. 2 months later, Zhao Feng received a letter from the Life Sacred Lands, Xiahou Wu. The time and place of the God I assembly were written on the letter, and Zhao Feng was invited to meet up with the Life Sacred Lands team. A few days later, Zhao Feng set off. Chapter 1291. Half a month later, Zhao Feng arrived at the place Xiahou Wu had mentioned, an ordinary 4.5-star faction. 7 people. Zhao Feng's left, I discovered that within this 4.5-star faction, there were 7 God Eye descendants in a certain palace. The weakest of these 7 was a rank 5 true god, while the strongest was an elder with green spots all over his skin. Other than Xiahou Wu, Zhao Feng didn't recognize any of the others. With Zhao Feng's cultivation, no one stopped him from entering this 4.5-star faction. He's finally here. Before Zhao Feng even entered the palace, a dissatisfied voice came from within. Zhao Feng walked into the palace and gave an apologetic smile. The time Xiahou Wu spoke of was actually yesterday, but the distance was too far, and it was impossible to calculate the exact time. Thus, Zhao Feng arrived one day late. At this moment, everyone in the palace was staring at him. They had all heard of Zhao Feng's exploits, but they had never seen Zhao Feng in person. I wonder which god his eye bloodline evolved from. A yellow-clothed youth joked. Since you're here, let's go. Among the 7 of them, an old man whose skin was covered with green stripes said calmly. The group of 8 left, and the members of this 4.5-star faction all breathed a sigh of relief. Not long after they left, Zhao Feng messaged Xiahou Wu. Your companions don't seem to like me? This elder probably doesn't have a good impression of you because you rejected the Life Sacred Land. As for the others, it's probably because of their superiority as God Eye descendants. Xiahou Wu messaged. Zhao Feng nodded in understanding. All bloodlines in the world originated from the 8 great God Eyes. As God Eye descendants, they naturally felt a sense of superiority when looking at other eye bloodlines. The Life Sacred Land only sent 7 people to the God Eye assembly. Logically speaking, this was a gathering of 8 great God Eye descendants, and the Life Sacred Land shouldn't have sent so few people. Zhao Feng learned from Xiahou Wu that the Life Sacred Land had sent many teams to the God Eye assembly, as well as a few lone travelers. After all, it was just an event, and it would be open for a long time. There was no need for everyone to gather together. That would be too ostentatious. In addition, the God Eye assembly was actually a rather secretive event. Only the members of the God Eye Hall, scattered throughout the various zones, knew when the event would begin. Thus, some of the lower-level factions had no idea about the God Eye assembly. Similarly, the location of the God Eye assembly was not fixed. Right, where's Han Ning Air? Zhao Feng straightforwardly asked. Han Ning was also a God Eye descendant of the Life Sacred Land. Only those above the true God realm are qualified to participate. Quasi-gods are not qualified, Xiahou Wu directly said. Zhao Feng couldn't help but be startled. He hadn't expected the God Eye assembly's threshold to be so high. But the more it was like this, the more it proved how valuable this gathering was. At the same time, Zhao Feng needed to be a little careful. He didn't know what sort of people would be at this God Eye assembly, and it would be best if he didn't reveal his eye bloodline. On the journey, Zhao Feng constantly suppressed the god's spiritual eye, reducing its abilities to the minimum. 10 days later, the group of 6 arrived in the air above a dangerous, forbidden zone. The group continued to rise, and when they were several 100,000 li in the air, Zhao Feng noticed a concealment array around a certain white cloud. I didn't think that the entrance would be here. Zhao Feng was alarmed. Of course, as they approached, the array opened on its own, allowing them to safely enter. In the middle of the white cloud was a simple, round, silver-white array platform. Standing next to it was a muscular middle-aged man who looked like a giant boulder. "Welcome, everyone from the life sacred land." The middle-aged man faintly smiled. The green-spotted elder of the life sacred land examined the array platform. "Why is it a teleportation array?" The green-spotted elder's expression darkened. The other members of the life sacred land were also confused. In the past god Eye assemblies, a simple entrance or passage led to a separate dimension. This time, the Xiling zone and another zone will be holding the god Eye assembly at the same location. So it's a spatial teleportation array. The middle-aged man seemed to have predicted this and quickly answered. Everyone else was taken aback. "What zone?" The green-spotted elder's expression darkened, as if he had thought of something. "The Antean zone." The middle-aged man grinned. The green-spotted elder's expression remained the same. The other party's answer seemed to be the same as his. "The Antean zone." The others softly muttered these words. Zhao Feng had a basic understanding of the zones bordering the Xiling zone. The Antean zone was a large zone no weaker than the Xiling zone, and its ruling faction was the Fallen Heaven race, ranked 12th among the 10,000 ancient races. "Teleport us over." After paying a large number of average-quality god crystals, the green-spotted elder led the group onto the teleportation array platform. Suddenly, the middle-aged man's eyes began to twinkle with golden-white light. "God Eye descendants." Zhao Feng was stunned. Moreover, this pair of eyes was one of the 8 great god eyes that Zhao Feng had never seen before, the Eye of Divine Punishment. When he saw the middle-aged man's Eye of Divine Punishment, Zhao Feng suddenly felt like this person was a just and strict god that judged all evil. At this time, Zhao Feng also sensed that this person was extremely powerful, no weaker than the green-spotted elder leading the group from the life sacred land. Suddenly, Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye emitted a wave of heat. He immediately withdrew the energy of the god's spiritual eye and suppressed its abilities. The middle-aged man's gaze swept over everyone, pausing on Zhao Feng's left eye for a few moments before nodding. Zhao Feng knew that the other party was confirming his eye bloodline. BZZE. The inscriptions on the array gradually completed, and white light began to rise from it, concealing the figures of the group. Chua. Everyone's silhouettes disappeared, and the radiance on the array formation platform gradually dimmed. "How interesting. That kid's eye is even stronger than the eyes of other Eye of Life descendants." The middle-aged man couldn't help but smile. It didn't take long before 3 black-robed figures arrived. The 3 were all young, 2 men and 1 woman. The leader had a multicolored right eye, the Eye of Myriad Forms. If Zhao Feng were here, he would definitely recognize this person as the man in black who had escaped underground on the outskirts of the life sacred land. This god Eye assembly will be held in the same location as another zone in the Xiling zone, so we're using a spatial teleportation array. The middle-aged man straightforwardly said, Let's go in now." The 3 black-robed men were unperturbed. "Okay, let me inspect your identities," the middle-aged man said. Inspecting their identities meant inspecting their eye bloodlines. BZZE. The leader's right eye immediately began to change color as the natural energy of the world slowly gathered toward it. The other 2 showed signs of having the Eye of Destiny and the Eye of Death. Then, the 3 of them paid the spiritual stones and disappeared through the array. Chapter 1292. The area of the god Eye assembly was a small, independent dimension. Overhead was a golden roof, decorated with dazzling jewels and gems of various colors. The surrounding walls were made up of many unique buildings of different sizes. Some of the larger buildings were guarded by powerful guards, and the occasional clamor of activity could be heard from within. The other areas of the palace were surrounded by forests and mountains, creating a pleasant scenery that made it seem like an immortal realm. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the vast and boundless palace, colorful figures of experts were shuttling in the air, including some giant flying spirit pets and the special envoy's flying tools. This is the area of the god Eye Assembly. The Life Sacred Land disciples couldn't help but sigh as they looked around. This was also their first time participating in the God Eye Assembly, and they had heard that the location of each God Eye Assembly would be different. There had been the bizarre violet world of night and the mysterious and precious seabed, but this time, the God Eye Assembly was being held in a golden palace that had everything one could think of. Although it was just a palace, it was at least half the size of Sky Feather Island. God Eye descendants can be seen everywhere. Zhao Feng's expression froze as he scanned the experts in front of him. Back in the continent zone, Zhao Feng running into a single God Eye descendant was a rare event. But God Eye descendants could be seen everywhere in this God Eye Assembly. Of course, this God Eye Assembly was a gathering of people from two major zones. In the continent zone that Zhao Feng used to live in was probably just a little larger than Sky Feather Island. In a single zone, there were countless small factions like Sky Feather Island. From this, one could see how vast the area covered by this God Eye Assembly was. It was only natural that so many God Eye descendants would be gathered here. All of you are free to move about. If you encounter anything, you can use the message token to contact me. The green-spotted elder of a Life Sacred Land said. He then transformed into a streak of light and began to explore the area. The terrain of each God Eye Assembly was different. Even the green-spotted elder, who had participated several times, needed some time to familiarize himself with the terrain. Brother Zhao doesn't have a message token from the Life Sacred Land, so come with me. Xiahou Wu said. Let's go. The remaining 5 Life Sacred Land disciples split into 2 groups and began to explore the area. Zhao Feng, what do you need right now? Xiahou Wu directly asked. Although he had never participated in the God Eye Assembly, he had heard the elders of the Life Sacred Land mention a few of the symbolic locations of the God Eye Assembly. Among them were the arena, the gambling arena, the information center, and the mission transfer center. Apart from that, there was the leisure zone and the trade zone. In the trade zone, one could trade for almost everything one wanted, including cultivation techniques, natural treasures, divine weapons, pets and mounts. I need secret arts, cultivation methods, and cultivation resources related to the soul or ocular arts. Zhao Feng spoke bluntly. Now that he has given up on the path of body refinement, he should focus on studying the soul and the eye so that he can utilize his strengths. Moreover, Xiahou Wu had said that his eye had already reached the quasi-god eye level, but it seemed like he had yet to use its full power. As a disciple of the Life Sacred Land, Xiahou Wu had definitely seen a true quasi-god eye, which was why he was so certain. Since that's the case, then we can go look for the Secret Exchange Castle, the Cultivation Technique Exchange Pavilion, or the Auction House, Xiahou Wu suggested. What's the difference between the Secret Exchange Castle and the Cultivation Technique Exchange Pavilion? Zhao Feng asked. He knew about the auction house. It was possible to find the best things there, but the prices would also be ridiculously high. The Cultivation Technique Exchange Pavilion is a large trading place where cultivation techniques and combat skills are sold, while the Secret Exchange Castle is a place where 10-some people conduct secret trades. The traders can't see each other, only what they want to trade. Xiahou Wu didn't have a very clear understanding, so he gave a rough idea. In the end, Zhao Feng felt that the Secret Exchange Castle was the most suitable place for him. Here, Zhao Feng could take out cultivation resources from the ancient dream realm or 5 elements intent crystals to trade without worrying about being eyed by others. The pair explored as they flew, and it didn't take long for them to discover a majestic pitch-black hall. It was extremely conspicuous among the many buildings, and there were many people going in and out of it. This is the Mission Transfer Center. It said that you can issue any mission or reward here, and you can even hire assassins or bodyguards. Xiahou Wu introduced. Secret Exchange Castle. Suddenly, Zhao Feng's left eye found those 4 large words amidst the countless signboards of the buildings. It was a huge, dark brown, circular building. Around the building were hundreds of small tunnels, and each tunnel was guarded by several guards with powerful auras. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. From a distance, Zhao Feng could see several figures entering the secret exchange castle. After paying the god crystals, they entered the paths. In some of the smaller paths, people were swiftly leaving. Xiao Wu and Zhao Feng then proceeded to the secret exchange castle. Only one person is allowed to enter each path. A guard at the path stopped Zhao Feng and Xiao Wu. This was the God Eye Assembly. Even though Xiao Wu was a member of the Life Sacred Land, he didn't dare to put on any airs and could only abide by the rules. The guard took out a round tool and had Zhao Feng place his hand on it. Bzzz. 7 dots of light suddenly appeared in front of the round tool. Rank 7 Ancient God. Enter and pay 500 average quality God crystals. The guard flatly said. Zhao Feng was rather surprised. 500 average quality God crystals wasn't much to him, but to ordinary true God experts, it was a massive sum of money. At the same time, Zhao Feng could also see that the fee was based on his cultivation. The fee is based on your cultivation. You're a rank 7 Ancient God, so the person you're trading with should be around that level of cultivation. The guard gave a casual introduction. Once you enter, you'll arrive at a sealed domain. You only need to wait inside for a few moments. Once the number of people in the transaction reaches 12, the transaction will begin. Once the transaction is over, if you want to continue, you just need to stay inside. Before entering, the guard gave Zhao Feng a few instructions on how to trade. In the pitch-black path, one could only walk in a straight line. The surrounding walls were made of some unknown material that divine sense couldn't penetrate. Even Zhao Feng's left, I could only see through the walls to a certain thickness and still couldn't discover anything. He quickly reached the end of the path, and a narrow circular space appeared in front of him. All I need to do is wait here, Zhao Feng muttered as he seated himself cross-legged on the ground. At this moment, the sealed space suddenly lit up. The transaction has begun. Please place the item to be traded and a strand of divine sense into the ball of light before you. A mechanical female voice sounded out of nowhere. Bzzz. A small white ball of light appeared in front of Zhao Feng. He was still unfamiliar with this method of trade and was wary, so he first placed 5 intent crystals in. The transaction has begun. After a long while, the voice spoke once more. A moment later, 11 other balls of light appeared in front of Zhao Feng. Each ball of light contained a different item, such as herbs, weapons, books, tools to store information, and so on. These should be the items that the other 11 people want to trade. Zhao Feng immediately understood. Zhao Feng soon realized that as long as he sent his divine sense into each ball of light, he could inspect the item and even communicate with the other party. How strange! Zhao Feng's eyes couldn't help but light up. He felt that this method of trade was very novel. Everyone could only see the item being traded, but not the other party. The advantage of this method was that they could trade for items that were difficult or too precious without worrying about being targeted by others. However, the disadvantage was that it was slow and difficult to find what they needed. Without saying anything else, Zhao Feng sent his divine sense into the first ball of light. It was a dark green flower, and it exuded a faint aura of the soul of plants. Sky soul bright eyegrass, a mysterious treasure that has a certain chance of evolving into an eye bloodline. At that moment, the divine sense entrenched in the glowing sphere uttered a sentence. It can help evolve an eye bloodline. Zhao Feng was shocked. However, Zhao Feng's heart immediately calmed down. He felt that the other party's words were a mix of truth and falsehood. There should be a limit, right? Zhao Feng boldly asked. In any case, they didn't know each other. There's a certain chance. Ordinary eye bloodlines have a higher chance, while God Eye descendants have a lower chance. And there's also a limit to cultivation. An unfamiliar voice quickly spoke. After learning this, Zhao Feng's divine sense left the ball of light and prepared to enter the next one. But at this moment, a divine sense message resounded in his mind. It seems like someone wants to trade for my 5 elements intent crystals. Zhao Feng couldn't help but smile. The 5 intent crystals he took out contained 5 different kinds of intent energy, and they were of high quality corresponding to rank 7 ancient gods. Profound crystals containing metal profound. How many do you have? The elderly voice asked. A lot, Zhao Feng simply replied. The other party then asked what Zhao Feng needed. High-quality soul, or eye bloodline cultivation techniques, or cultivation resources. Zhao Feng did not mince words. However, the cultivation techniques and resources the other party took out weren't ideal. In the end, Zhao Feng only traded for a small number of cultivation resources. The method of trade was extremely simple. Zhao Feng could put items into any of the 12 balls of light, but he could only take items out of the one that belonged to him. Zhao Feng put the intent crystal into one of the balls of light. A small number of cultivation resources quickly appeared in the ball of light. After confirming that there were no mistakes, Zhao Feng took out the resources, and the other party took away Zhao Feng's intent crystal. He then sent his divine sense into the next ball of light. This ball of light contained a dark green crystalline herb that exuded a thick soul energy. After a few moments of discussion, Zhao Feng traded with the other party. Zhao Feng sent his divine sense into the third ball of light and saw a black crystal bead. His divine sense lightly touched it, and an image appeared in Zhao Feng's mind. It's a memory. Zhao Feng was rather surprised as he carefully examined the image in his mind. Chapter 1293. In the image, there was a dark space, and the surroundings were in ruins. The person with this memory quickly wandered through the ruins. Because it was from a first-person perspective, Zhao Feng couldn't see the person, and certain places have been intentionally wiped out. Suddenly, a golden Yao god with a pair of golden arms charged out of the ruins of a strange building in the distance. It looked like a single eyeball. The person with this memory immediately began a fight with this Yao god. Death intent, destruction intent. Zhao Feng was able to determine from this image that the person with this memory was a death god eye descendant. As for the demon spirit with the golden eyeball, it was also an eye technique attack that contained a profound of destruction. If one looked carefully, one would realize that this eyeball Yao spirit was very similar to the eye of destruction. In the end, the death god eye descendant killed the Yao spirit and obtained an abnormally dazzling golden crystal. An intent crystal containing destruction intent. Zhao Feng had encountered something like this in the 5 Elements Crystal Palace, so he immediately guessed. But compared to the intent crystal containing the 5 elements, the destruction intent crystal was unquestionably more valuable. Swish! The image flashed, and the death god, a descendant, appeared in a dilapidated building. A building of the Heavens Legacy race. Zhao Feng's eyes instantly lit up. He had entered several Heavens Legacy race cities in the past, so he had some understanding of the architectural style. Of course, even if the buildings here were similar to a Heavens Legacy race city, that didn't mean anything. One couldn't rule out the possibility that some faction controlled some of the Heavens Legacy race's technology or copied the style of the Heavens Legacy race buildings. The image flashed once more, and the death god, a descendant, appeared within the building. In front of him was a violet crystal door, but this door was sealed by a barrier. The death god, a descendant, tried for a very long time, but was unable to break the seal. But through the seal, Zhao Feng could faintly make out a massive black pool. The pool was surrounded by many black crystals, and Zhao Feng could tell at a glance that they were intent crystals. However, Zhao Feng didn't know what kind of intent energy these black intent crystals contained. Whoosh! Suddenly, the image vanished. "You're done looking?" A muffled voice spoke. "What do you want to trade?" Zhao Feng asked directly. "This is a dilapidated ruin that I discovered by accident. What you saw was part of my previous exploration. Now, I want to invite 2 or 3 teammates to explore this ruin even deeper." The muddy voice spoke again. Zhao Feng's eyes flashed. In fact, he had also guessed it. Otherwise, who would release such a precious video for no reason? "I need more information." Zhao Feng's face darkened. Based on just one video, he knew too little information, and he couldn't determine the danger. "I personally explored these ruins. Although the style of the buildings is that of the Heaven's Legacy race, my guess is that this was the residence of a powerful god, a descendant in the ancient era or ancient era. After all, many powerful factions of the time had dealings with the Heaven's Legacy race, borrowing the crystallization of their intelligence. Moreover, you also know the trading mode here. My cultivation should be about the same as yours. The fact that I was able to safely return after exploring the ruins to a certain extent proves that the level of danger inside isn't too great. That person said smoothly. After all, he had come here to make a trade, so he must have already thought of an excuse. Moreover, his explanation revolved around 2 points. The first was profit, and the second was safety. These are the 2 points that others place the most importance on. Why don't you go to the mission exchange? Zhao Feng asked after hearing this. If I do that, this ruin will be completely exposed, and my identity will also be exposed. I might even be hunted down by experts. In addition, I only need 2 or 3 teammates. This way, we can both maximize the benefits. Thus, the secret exchange castle is the best place to issue this mission. Zhao Feng thought for a few moments. He wouldn't completely believe this person's words, so he could only use them as a reference. From what he could see, exploring these ruins truly wasn't very dangerous. The fact that someone with this memory could come back alive was the best proof of that. Even if he was hiding something and there was some danger, Zhao Feng didn't mind. He was confident that his trump cards would be able to resolve the danger. In truth, Zhao Feng had already intended to accept this mission. He just wanted to know more. I'll tell you the truth. I suspect that this place is the residence of a powerful god I descendant, because the intent crystals I obtained there all contain intents related to the 8 great god eyes. The voice spoke once more. Zhao Feng's mind trembled. He couldn't completely believe the other party's words. But based on Zhao Feng's conjecture, that place was very likely to be the residence of a god I descendant in the ancient era, perhaps even the ancient era. If this really was the case, the things hidden within were probably related to the 8 great god eyes. Perhaps he could even obtain information regarding the 9th god eye. In addition, this was the god eye assembly, and almost all the eye bloodlines here originated from the 8 great god eyes. One could easily imagine the usefulness of these ruins to them, so most people found it very difficult to refuse this offer. I said before that I only need 2 or 3 teammates. Of the 11 people here, 5 have already accepted this mission, but I still need to choose the most suitable teammates. The turbid voice spoke once more. Okay, I'll accept this mission. Zhao Feng thought for a few moments before agreeing. Firstly, the other party would also choose the most suitable people from the many people who had accepted the mission. Zhao Feng would be able to obtain even more information from this filtering process. If he discovered anything suspicious along the way, he could reconsider. After all, if he didn't explore the ruins, the other party couldn't do anything to him. Zhao Feng had traveled with the life-sacred land, and he himself was a spiritual race disciple. I need to sign a blood contract with you to guarantee that this matter won't be leaked to anyone else. The other party made a request. This request felt like he was protecting Wang Chong. Zhao Feng didn't care and signed a contract. Okay, take my message token. We'll contact you after the transaction is over. The person placed a message token into Zhao Feng's ball of light. Zhao Feng immediately took out the message token and inspected it. In the end, he discovered that this was just a simple message token, and its range of communication was extremely limited. There was nothing suspicious about it. Zhao Feng put this matter aside and continued to browse through the items in the other balls of light. Eye-sealing art. Zhao Feng's divine sense paused on the item in the 5th ball of light. This is a secret art that can seal the power of eye bloodlines. The clear voice of a woman said, by sealing the power of an eye bloodline and unsealing it at a crucial moment, it might serve as an unexpected trump card. Of course, Zhao Feng had also heard that the eye-shrouding art could make eye bloodline phenomena return to normal. If these 2 secret arts were used together, the effect would be even greater. What do you need? Zhao Feng straightforwardly asked. The eye-sealing art was exactly what Zhao Feng needed at this moment. I need a space-time eye bloodline technique. The other party replied. From this, one could tell that this person was either a descendant of the Eye of Space-Time or was related to it. Zhao Feng couldn't help but rejoice. He just so happened to have two space-time eye bloodline techniques, both of which originated from the space-time robe. After weighing the pros and cons, Zhao Feng decided to take out the higher-level space-time seal for the transaction. Your eye sealing art is far from enough to trade for my space-time eye bloodline technique, Zhao Feng said in a matured tone. However, the other party clearly desired the space-time seal and was willing to take out a few more items. Zhao Feng then proposed the eye shrouding art. Coincidentally, the other party had this secret art, so the two smoothly completed the transaction. As Zhao Feng browsed through the items in the other balls of light, he split off a part of his mind and began to comprehend the two secret arts. After a rough scan, he discovered that the eye sealing art was of a higher level, while the eye shrouding art was of a lower level. This was because the eye shrouding art was of a limited level and could not completely conceal certain powerful eyes. Nothing else caught Zhao Feng's eye in the following transactions, so he remained in this sealed dimension and began to comprehend the two eye bloodline techniques. After a long while, the transaction concluded. Only then did Zhao Feng leave and enter a small shop nearby. Only when he saw Xiahou Wu did Zhao Feng come out to greet him. How was it? What was the result? Zhao Feng asked with a smile. The people I traded with were probably all rank 7 ancient gods. I took a fancy to a few intent crystals containing what intent, but the quality of my items was too low. In the end, I was barely able to trade for a few intent crystals. Xiahou Wu smiled. Because he was a peak rank 6, only a step away from the ancient god level, arranging for him to trade with an ancient god wasn't a problem. Zhao Feng couldn't help but be startled. He suddenly remembered that he had traded with the person in the second ball of light for somewhat intent crystals, and the other party had taken out a soul cultivation resource that truly wasn't much. So that person was Xiahou Wu. Zhao Feng couldn't help but chuckle to himself. Let's go take a look at other places. This God Eye assembly is truly a rare event. We can't miss it, Zhao Feng said with a smile. The two strolled around and arrived at the Technique Exchange Pavilion. The techniques and secret techniques here were almost all related to the soul and the eye bloodline. The only drawback was that they were expensive. Zhao Feng had many god crystals, but as a rank 7 ancient god, he couldn't reveal too much wealth. Thus, Zhao Feng only chose a few techniques and eye bloodline techniques that he was interested in. Let's find an inn to rest for a while, Zhao Feng suggested. There were far too many talented people in the God Eye assembly, so it was best if Zhao Feng didn't reveal his eye bloodline. Thus, he wanted to first comprehend the eye shrouding art and eye sealing art so that he could conceal his god's spiritual eye to a certain extent. Xiahou Wu had also gained quite a bit on his journey, so he expressed his approval. After that, the two of them each found a comfortable guest room and stayed in it. Swish! To save time, Zhao Feng entered the space-time robe dimension and began to cultivate these two eye bloodline techniques. 10 days later, Zhao Feng was more or less proficient in these two eye bloodline techniques and prepared to conceal his god's spiritual eye. Chapter 1294. First, Zhao Feng tried the eye shrouding art. As he circulated the technique, a strange ripple of energy came from Zhao Feng's head. Soon, the luster in his eyes darkened a little. At the same time, Zhao Feng's dazzling silver hair began to turn black, starting from the tail. But this was the end of the transformation, and nothing else happened. After a long while, Zhao Feng stopped circulating the technique and opened his eyes. The eye shrouding art can't hide the phenomena of my god's spiritual eye. Zhao Feng's expression was calm. He had already guessed at this point while familiarizing himself with his secret art. After all, Zhao Feng's eye had already reached the quasi-god eye level, and it had a chance of becoming the 9th god eye. Such a low-level eye shrouding art naturally couldn't hide the phenomena of his eye bloodline. Perhaps this secret art would be effective when the god's spiritual eye was golden. Zhao Feng then tried the second higher-level secret art, the eye sealing art. The eye sealing art primarily sealed off the abilities of an eye bloodline in its entirety, or perhaps only part of it. But considering how powerful the god's spiritual eye was, it was probably impossible to completely seal it. Thus, Zhao Feng only sealed one important point: the origin energy within the dreamy silver ball in his god eye dimension. When Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye transformed into dreamy silver, the fundamental change was the origin energy that he could freely control. As long as he sealed off this origin energy, the power of Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye would greatly decrease. It would also be extremely difficult for others to sense the uniqueness of Zhao Feng's god's spiritual eye. BZZE. A complicated pattern formed from chaos origin divine power floated within the god eye dimension, like a talisman. Zhao Feng controlled this seal and pressed it against the dreamy silver ball. Hisses. However, when the seal got close to the dreamy silver ball, it suddenly felt a strong resistance from within. This is a little difficult. Zhao Feng frowned slightly. He was already trying his best to suppress his origin energy. It was within his expectations that the eye shroud spell was ineffective, but if the eye sealing spell was ineffective, then that deal would be too much of a loss. By the way, I have comprehended some sealing ultimacy before. Zhao Feng suddenly thought of this. Back then, he had comprehended a bit of the sealing profundity, and when he broke through to the ancient god realm, this profundity had reached the second stage. Although the power of the profound meaning was low, if it was fused with the sealing technique, it should produce a qualitative change. Thinking of this, Zhao Feng circulated the ultimacy of sealing and merged it into the sealing secret technique. Immediately, the chaos origin divine power pattern on the talisman paper suddenly enlarged, and every line became more solid. The sealing technique's power had increased significantly. Zhao Feng continued sealing. This time, the sealing technique successfully enveloped the dreamy silver ball. Buzz. Zhao Feng's dreamy silver eyes gradually dimmed, as if they had lost their liveliness and vitality. The same was true for his dazzling hair dancing in the wind. Previously, anyone who saw Zhao Feng's left eye and hair would find them extraordinary. Now, they were no longer so eye-catching. Zhao Feng entered seclusion for a while. Previously, because he cultivated 5 elements, wind, lightning, and space-time intents, he had given up on the extremely difficult sealing intent. But now that he cultivated the chaos heaven void origin technique, the more intent he comprehended, the more powerful the technique would be. Moreover, sealing intent was extremely useful, and Zhao Feng was rather interested in it. Thus, Zhao Feng took out a few god sealing stones and began to comprehend the intent energy within them. After another 30 days, he received a message from Xiahou Wu and finally ended his seclusion. But in the outside world, only 4 days had passed. The God Eye Assembly is only open for a month. We can't waste it. Xiahou Wu straightforwardly said. The God Eye Assembly was extremely vast, and the two had only been to a corner of it. Let's go and see the battles between the other Eye bloodlines. Xiahou Wu suggested. As an Eye of Life descendant, he spent most of his time in the Life-Sacred Land, so he hadn't seen many God Eye descendants. The stronger ones could be counted on one hand, but the God Eye Assembly was different. The descendants of the 8 great God Eyes and all other Eye bloodlines were gathered here, and there was no restriction on cultivation. Okay, Zhao Feng nodded. He had given up on body tempering and chose to focus on cultivating the soul and Eye bloodline techniques. By watching the battles of other Eye bloodlines, he could naturally comprehend many things and even copy their Eye bloodline techniques. Although his origin energy had been sealed, limiting the abilities of the god's spiritual eye, it didn't have much of an effect on copying and learning. The two didn't need to travel for long before they discovered a massive square-shaped palace that was seething with excitement. But this was just an ordinary dueling ground. Inside, one could choose any opponent and temper one's strength, while also being challenged by others. Let's go to the large arena. We can see the battles of true experts there. Xiahou Wu was rather excited. The large arena had a prize system. The higher the number of battles, the greater the reward, so the battles inside were even more exciting. The two quickly found a large arena cast in black gold and surrounded by statues of gods and devils. The arena was surrounded by a tough array. Zhao Feng estimated that not even the green-spotted elder leading the team would be able to break through it. Boom! Red and black light shot into the sky from within the array and collided. Let's go in and take a look. Xiao Wu appeared rather excited. After that, the two of them paid a huge entrance fee and entered the huge arena. The moment they entered, Zhao Feng heard deafening cheers and shouts. Two people were fiercely clashing on the enormous gray stone arena. One of the combatants was a short-haired middle-aged man. He was a rank 7 ancient god, and his dark silver eyes exuded profound space intent. His opponent only had an ordinary eye bloodline. His main advantage lay in his vast experience and powerful cultivation. Extreme Space Blade. The short-haired middle-aged man's eyes gathered powerful space-time profundity and metal profundity. The two combined and instantly formed a silver void blade. Ooish! In a flash of light, the silver blade suddenly vanished. A moment later, the muscular middle-aged man's chest was pierced through, causing blood to spurt out. He was already covered in wounds, and now that this attack had struck a vital point, he was powerless to continue fighting. In the end, the referee declared the muscular middle-aged man's defeat. So fast, Zhao Feng's heart thumped in surprise. This short-haired man's extreme space blade was even faster than his void space eye slash, but it was a little weaker. If one wasn't on guard against it, they would find it almost impossible to dodge. Of course, his opponent had the eye of space-time, and his mastery of two intents surpassed Zhao Feng's. Coupled with the eye of space-time, it wasn't too surprising that he could use such an eye bloodline technique. Lin Chengwu's eye of space-time is so powerful. He's already won 14 matches in a row. Look, his 15th opponent is coming. Very soon, the staff of the arena arranged for the next person to fight. This was a tall and mighty ancient god expert with the head of a lion. His eye bloodline was rather ordinary, but his cultivation was at the peak of rank 7 ancient god. The moment he stepped onto the stage, he began to exude a suffocating killing intent that had killed countless people. It's Mengwu. Mengwu originally had a bloodline, and by some lucky coincidence, he obtained an eye strength bloodline. Moreover, he's extremely powerful, almost invincible among rank 7 ancient gods. The experts who had participated in the god eye assembly more than once had some impression of this lion-headed man. It seems like Lin Chengwu is going to lose. Not far away, a slightly joyful voice sounded. The nearby spectators couldn't help but look over. It seemed like the person speaking had some sort of grudge with Lin Chengwu. Zhao Feng saw that the speaker was a young man with a rather bewitching white face, and his black eyes sparkled with white light. But in a flash, Zhao Feng's eyes fell on a black-armored middle-aged man with a single horn on his head. This person's eyes casually scanned the area, and they suddenly stopped on Zhao Feng. With a shocked expression, he called out, "Zhao Feng. Long time no see." Zhao Feng gave a faint smile. He hadn't expected that the first familiar person he would meet in the ancient desolate realm of gods would be demigod destruction of the non-humans in the continent zone. Back then, Zhao Feng felt that demigod destruction had the greatest talent and potential among the non-humans. As expected, this person quickly arrived at the ancient desolate realm of gods and was already a rank 3 true god. "I didn't think that I would run into you here." Demigod Destruction coldly smiled, a hint of hostility in his eyes. "Zhao Feng, true god Cloudbreaker, you recognize him?" The bewitching youth's eyes were first filled with surprise, and then he looked in confusion at Demigod Destruction. As it turned out, after coming to the ancient desolate realm of gods, Demigod Destruction had changed his name to Cloudbreaker. In the continent zone, he was the #1 descendant of the Eye of Destruction, so his title of destruction wasn't a big deal. However, there were far too many experts in the ancient desolate realm of gods with the Eye of Destruction. If he used the title of destruction, he would probably be hunted down by the descendants of the Eye of Destruction. Yes, young Master Hai. He and I came to the ancient desolate realm of gods from the same dimension. True God Cloudbreaker respectfully said. Oh, as it turns out, the Xiling Zone's Zhao Feng came from a low-level outer dimension. Young Master Hai had a playful look on his face, his words tinged with derision. Zhao Feng was taken aback. He didn't seem to recognize this person, but this person seemed to have some hostility toward him. I heard that you directly attained rank 6 of the heavenly divine realm, but for you to reach rank 7 so quickly is probably a fabrication of a Xiling Zone. Young Master Hai continued. The Antian Zone was adjacent to the Xiling Zone, so he had heard the rumors about Zhao Feng. He had never believed that such a genius existed, but it was now apparent that it was all fake. How could anyone immediately reach rank 7 after becoming a rank 6 true god? Now that he heard from True God Cloudbreaker that Zhao Feng came from a low-level dimension, he was even more skeptical and disdainful. What? Rank 6? Rank 7? True God Cloudbreaker was dumbstruck. Just a moment ago, he had been thinking about seeking out Zhao Feng for a spar. After all, the two of them belonged to opposing dynasties in the Continent Zone, and Zhao Feng's eye bloodline was extremely mysterious, even suppressing his eye of destruction. After coming to the ancient desolate realm of gods, he quickly attached himself to a 5-star faction of the Antian Zone, allowing his cultivation to advance by leaps and bounds. He was now a rank 3 true god, but Zhao Feng was now an ancient god. True God Cloudbreaker had a dazed expression. It was clear that he had been dealt quite a blow. At this moment, Zhao Feng sensed something strange in his interspatial dimension. He sent his mind in and found the token he had obtained from the secret exchange castle. First, I need to experience your strength. If you're too weak, you don't have the right to be my teammate. A low and deep voice came from within. Zhao Feng thought for a few moments, and then he suddenly turned to young Master Hai and smiled. If you don't try, how will you know? Chapter 1295. The mysterious person who had issued the secret mission wanted to see Zhao Feng's strength for himself. Zhao Feng needed to find someone to test his skills on so that the other party could see his strength. And at this moment, there was a person in need of a lesson standing in front of him. How will you know if it's real or fake if you don't try? Zhao Feng smiled and said to young Master Hai. The moment Zhao Feng said this, he used his message token to report his position to young Master Hai. You! Young Master Hai's face froze for a moment, and then he gave Zhao Feng a proud and disdainful look. Zhao Feng, this young Master Hai is an extremely famous genius of the Antian Zone. Although he's not a descendant of one of the 8 great god eyes, his star eye is still extremely formidable. Xiahou Wu calmly messaged Zhao Feng. He didn't know much about young Master Hai, but he had a good understanding of Zhao Feng's strength, so he wasn't worried and just wanted to give him a warning. Haha, it looks to me like you've gotten used to showing off in the Xiling Zone. Young Master Hai suddenly heartily laughed. Even if Zhao Feng had truly reached rank 6 of the heavenly divine realm, he had only recently broken into rank 7. So how strong could he be? Moreover, young Master Hai was extremely confident in his own strength. Still as reckless as ever. True God Cloudbreaker snorted, and then he inwardly rejoiced. Now that he knew that Zhao Feng was a rank 7 true God Cloudbreaker's pride had vanished in a thin air. However, now that Zhao Feng was seeking death and challenging young Master Hai, he suddenly felt a little expectant that young Master Hai would torture and kill Zhao Feng. Since that's the case, let me test your skills. Young Master Hai's lips curled into a sinister smile. Young Master Hai, there's a gambling stage nearby. True God Cloudbreaker immediately said. Young Master Hai wanted a duel with Zhao Feng, but the rules of this arena were not suitable for the two of them to duel. Then let's go. Zhao Feng had a relaxed expression. What's going on? Young Master Hai wishes to duel with someone from the Xiling Zone? Isn't that Zhao Feng? Zhao Feng is going to compete with young Master Hai from the Antian realm. Everyone in the arena was an eye bloodline expert from the 2 zones. On the other hand, Zhao Feng and Mr. C were very famous in their respective regions. The clash between the two had attracted the attention of some people in the arena. Whoosh! Whoosh! Zhao Feng and Mr. C made their move and headed straight for the duel arena that was not far from the arena. In a certain part of the arena, 3 black-clothed people stood together. One of the black-clothed men, with a sinister expression, took out a medallion. What a coincidence! The other person who accepted the mission is also here. The black-robed man couldn't help but smile. Ancient God Black Extreme, your fish has taken a bait? A one-eyed man with the eye of myriad forms asked with a smile. But soon after, Ancient God Black Extreme received another message. I'm already heading to the gambling, dueling ground to fight with a rank 7 true god. All right, I'll be leaving first. With these words, Ancient God Black Extreme took his leave. After paying the average quality god crystals, Zhao Feng and Mr. C entered the gambling, dueling ground. Following the two of them were Xiaoho Wu, Mr. C's companions, and a small number of spectators in the arena. If not for Lin Changwu and Meng Qi's fight, even more people might have come. There were 4 fighting stages in the gambling, dueling ground, and 2 of them were currently being fought. Both of you, please take out your wagers, the referee said. Swish! With a flip of his hand, Zhao Feng produced 10 multicolored crystals. These 10 profundity crystals are very useful for cultivators who have reached the 5th level of profundity. Zhao Feng handed the intent crystals to the referee. Such a high-level, profound crystal. The referee's eyes lit up as he took the intent crystals. The majority of ancient god experts only had around level 5 intent. This meant that these intent crystals were cultivation resources for ancient gods. Young Master Hai was taken aback. Zhao Feng truly had taken out a good item. My wager is the god-level high-class eye bloodline technique, Earth-Shaking Nova. Young Master Hai had a proud expression. His wager naturally had to be more valuable than Zhao Feng's. Moreover, he was destined to win this battle, so he didn't mind taking out such a precious eye bloodline technique as a wager. As you wish. Let's begin, Zhao Feng casually said. His primary purpose in coming here was to let the person who had issued the mission confirm his strength. He had no intention of getting anything good from young Master Hai. Young Master Hai's brow creased, and his expression flickered with displeasure. The eye bloodline technique he had taken out was far more valuable than the 10 intent crystals Zhao Feng had offered. But Zhao Feng didn't seem to care at all. In fact, he appeared completely uninterested. You may begin. The referee placed the wagers on the edge of the fighting stage, on a stone platform isolated by an array. At this moment, Ancient God Black Extreme, hidden in the crowd, looked at Zhao Feng and young Master Hai and softly said, Is that him? Although it's not one of the 8 great god eyes, his eye seems rather unusual. Ancient God Black Extreme was originally rather disappointed, but when his eye of death looked at Zhao Feng's left eye, he inexplicably became a little interested. Kaboom! On the stage, young Master Hai activated his stellar eyes, and a hazy layer of starlight appeared on his body. Star instant. Young Master Hai sneered at Zhao Feng, and then his body transformed into a streak of starlight that vanished. In his view, not even Zhao Feng would be able to catch up to him with such a profound movement technique. Swoosh, swoosh. Young Master Hai transformed into a weak streak of starlight that rapidly moved across the stage. His movements were extremely strange, occasionally making sudden turns, but his speed did not decrease in the slightest, making him very difficult to follow. Suddenly, the streak of starlight changed directions and shot toward Zhao Feng. Heavenly Star Explosion. Young Master Hai activated his stellar eyes, and a dazzling ball of starlight began to gather in his eyes. Boom! The ball of starlight shot out his eyes, transforming into a massive ball of dazzling starlight that shot straight at Zhao Feng. At this moment, a spatial blur appeared on Zhao Feng's body. Boom! The destructive ball of starlight passed through Zhao Feng's body and annihilated everything. Wait, he escaped. Young Master Hai grimaced. At this moment, he sensed a powerful ripple of divine power behind him. Dooish! Mr. C's body suddenly turned and flew in another direction. Then, a dark and chaotic palm light whizzed past and smashed into the distant spirit formation, giving rise to a series of explosions. Boom! Bang! Crash! The two clashed back and forth, terrifying ripples of energy erupting from the stage. How marvelous! Young Master Hai is skilled in star intent and has a brilliant movement technique that allows him to move extremely quickly, but Zhao Feng is skilled in spatial blink. Some of the spectators cried out in surprise. To think that Zhao Feng would be this strong. True God Cloudbreaker had a rather gloomy expression. Anyone who could exchange blows with young Master Hai could no longer be considered an ordinary rank 7 ancient god. This person's eye bloodline techniques target both the physical and soul dimensions, and his movement technique is rather troublesome. Zhao Feng, calm down. Let's see how you'll dodge now that I've made space unstable. Young Master Hai bellowed, his eyes surging with astonishing eye intent. At the same time, powerful star intent and weak space intent began to pulse. Star flurry slaughter. Young Master Hai's eyes began to madly revolve. At the same time, the images of stars of various sizes appeared around him, transforming the stage into a world of stars. Boom! Suddenly, all the stars exploded, and a destructive storm of energy filled the air. Zhao Feng immediately condensed a shield of chaos origin divine power, and a pair of golden wings unfurled from his back. He used the metal lightning radiance wings art to swiftly dodge. You can't use spatial blink now. Young Master Hai savagely laughed as he shot toward Zhao Feng in a streak of starlight. Star blink was a high-speed movement technique that used star intent. It was far faster than Zhao Feng's metal lightning radiance wings art, and it was also unaffected by space intent. Earth-shaking nova. Countless tiny specks of starlight gathered together in young Master Hai's eyes, forming a white cluster of stars. What a powerful eye bloodline technique. Zhao Feng's expression chilled. At this moment, young Master Hai was like an enormous star hanging over his head, giving off the impression that he could crush down on the world. Good. Young Master Hai is going to win. The people of the Antian zone in the spectating area cried out in alarm. Ha! Of all the people they could offend, they just had to recklessly seek out young Master Hai. True God Cloudbreaker jeered, his mind in a carefree mood. He's not a god eye descendant, and his eye bloodline doesn't seem very strong. I might even lose this match. It seems like I'll need to keep looking. Ancient God Black Extreme sighed, somewhat angry. Suddenly, Ancient God Black Extreme sensed space-time intent, and his eye of death couldn't help but turn to Zhao Feng. Space-time seal. Zhao Feng's left eye locked onto young Master Hai and began to exude profound intent energy. A space-time intent that was both real and illusory descended on young Master Hai's body. Young Master Hai was just about to use his eye bloodline technique, but he suddenly slowed down by half a beat. Dooish! Zhao Feng had long ago left the range of young Master Hai's eye bloodline technique. Broom! The earth-shaking nova suddenly appeared where Zhao Feng had been a moment ago. A shockingly powerful force raged in the void, causing the space to distort slightly. This is space-time eye bloodline technique. Young Master Hai was stunned, and he immediately used his space intent to weaken and counteract this attack. Based on what he understood, only a descendant of the Eye of Space-Time could use such a profound space-time eye bloodline technique. Chaos Origin Palm. Zhao Feng circulated his Chaos Origin Divine Power and fired off two enormous palms of dark and multicolored light. Young Master Hai hurriedly circulated his energy to protect himself while also taking out a high-quality defensive divine artifact. But because of time intent, he didn't even have time to activate the power of the divine artifact before he was struck by Zhao Feng's attack. Bang! Young Master Hai's body flew backward, the blood he vomited forming a bloody path. The power of the space-time eye bloodline technique has weakened. Young Master Hai forcefully stabilized his injuries. The sealing of his god eye's origin energy had caused the power of Zhao Feng's eye bloodline technique to weaken. You can lose now. Zhao Feng blinked behind young Master Hai and fired off several more palms of energy. At the same time, his left eye flashed with a dreamy bolt of lightning. Cackrack. The chaotic divine power flowing light and the dark silver lightning flame wrapped Mr. C's body within. Mr. C's body flew backward and landed hard on the ground. His whole body was a bloody mess. Young Master Hai, how could this be? True God Cloudbreaker was frozen to the spot, a look of disbelief on his face. Xiao Wu, on the other hand, only chuckled. Young Master Hai's loss to Zhao Feng was within his expectations. Such a profound space-time eye bloodline technique. Could it be related to the Eye of Space-Time? Ancient God Black Extreme was rather surprised as he speculated. At this moment, a black figure appeared at his side and asked, "How is it? It's not a descendant of one of the 8 great God Eyes." Ancient God Black Extreme flatly said, It's him?" An eye of myriad forms stared at Zhao Feng in surprise. Chapter 1296. It's him? An eye of myriad forms stared at Zhao Feng in surprise. Ancient God Profound Devil, you recognize this kid? Ancient God Black Extreme was rather surprised. He was well aware that this group of people normally didn't recognize outsiders. When I was fleeing after stealing the Eye of Life, I encountered him, and he even noticed me. Ancient God Profound Devil's expression darkened. This kid isn't a descendant of one of the 8 great God Eyes, but he's skilled in space-time intent. If his eye can discover you while you're hiding, that means he's rather unusual. Ancient God Black Extreme's expression darkened as he began to think. From the outside, Zhao Feng's eye was already extraordinary, and coupled with his high-level space-time eye bloodline techniques and perception abilities, it was already close to the level of a God Eye descendant. This person has some connections to the life-sacred land, so he probably doesn't know what I did back then. But just to be safe, I'll take him with me. This way, I can seal everything up. Ancient God Profound Devil's face chilled, his eyes flashing with cold light. Then, that's settled. Ancient God Black Extreme nodded, and the two left. Young Master Hai actually lost. Just what sort of eye does that Zhao Feng have that it can use such a powerful space-time eye bloodline technique? Cries of alarm rang out around the spectator stands. It was clear that the battle had ended too quickly, and the result had far surpassed their expectations. Zhao Feng wins, the referee announced. The barrier around the stage was removed, and young Master Hai's attendants immediately rushed forward to help him up. "Young Master Hai, are you okay?" True God Cloudbreaker worriedly asked. "Damn, I actually lost," young Master Hai savagely said, his face stained with blood. Zhao Feng ignored young Master Hai, walked to the side, took the wager, and then left with Xiao Wu. "Young Master Hai, why don't we send someone to keep an eye on that kid? Once he leaves the God Eye Assembly," a youth with triangular eyes immediately suggested. "Fool, he's a member of the spiritual race. And didn't you notice that the person walking with him is an Eye of Life descendant?" Mr. Hai scolded and kicked the young man. "What? The spiritual race? The life-sacred land?" True God Cloudbreaker was stunned once more, his eyes somewhat dazed. In such a short amount of time, Zhao Feng had managed to enter the spiritual race, become friends with the people of the life-sacred land, and become famous in a major zone. Of course, True God Cloudbreaker had no idea that Zhao Feng was also quite famous in the Gulong Zone. After leaving the arena, Zhao Feng's consciousness entered the storage space and received a message. "Your strength meets my requirements. When will we meet?" Zhao Feng asked. What he wanted to do now was to get more information about the ruins from a mysterious man. "I'm currently confirming the other teammates. When it's time to meet them, I'll let you know." The other party immediately replied. Afterwards, Zhao Feng did not care about this matter anymore. Instead, he and Xiaohu once again returned to the arena. By now, Lin Chengwu's battle had already ended. After asking around, they learned that Lin Chengwu had been defeated in just a few moves. After all, his opponent was very strong, and Lin Chengwu had already fought many battles. The two of them remained in the arena, observing the experts that were constantly challenging others. On one hand, Zhao Feng learned how to use eye techniques. On the other hand, he took out earth-shaking Nova to comprehend. In his battle with young Master Hai, Zhao Feng sensed that the power of the earth-shaking Nova was no ordinary eye bloodline technique. Using star intent to move at high speeds and collide with each other, creating a power that can destroy all. A few moments later, Zhao Feng understood this eye bloodline technique. The core is chaos and collision. Zhao Feng muttered to himself as he fell into deep thought. He did not possess star intent and could not use this technique, but Zhao Feng believed that his chaos divine power should be able to do the same. Zhao Feng began to run simulations in his mind, attempting to modify it into an eye bloodline technique that he could use. Boom! Bang! Crash! The one fighting on the stage was a rank 8 true god of incredible strength. That's right, it seems like I haven't seen any true peak experts yet, Zhao Feng suddenly said. He had only seen a few rank 8 true gods and rank 9 true gods so far. Would even stronger experts not participate in the God Eye Assembly? I heard that the place where they gather is different from ours, Xiahou Wu said after thinking for a few moments. Zhao Feng's expression chilled. It seemed like the God Eye Assembly had even stronger eye bloodlines, but he just hadn't encountered them or discovered them yet. How could experts of their level mingle with ordinary true gods? After observing the arena for 3 days, Zhao Feng and Xiahou Wu had learned a great deal. The two left and continued to roam the God Eye Assembly grounds. On the way, Xiahou Wu suggested to Zhao Feng that if he wanted to know how to use the power of his eye, he could go to the God Eye Heavenly Seeking Palace. There, after paying a certain amount of God crystals, he could ask a descendant of one of the 8 great God Eyes for guidance. If he paid enough God crystals, he could even ask a peak rank 9 ancient god or even a half-step God Lord to personally instruct him. Although Zhao Feng was very tempted, he still refused. Ordinary ancient gods would be of little help to him, and those with too high a cultivation level might discover his identity as the 9th God Eye. Zhao Feng did not want to take this risk. What is that place? Xiahou Wu stopped and looked into the distance at a massive golden blue castle. This was the largest building in the area, and it was built in a grand and imposing style. God Eye Competition Ground. Zhao Feng looked at the golden words carved on a piece of red jade. Xiahou Wu indicated that he had never heard the elders of his clan describe this place, so he knew nothing about it. The pair walked into the God Eye Competition Ground. There were many guards at the entrance of the hall. When the two paid the God crystals, the guard said the God Eye Competition Ground has many competitive games. Once the number of participants reaches a certain number, the competition will begin, and the final winner will receive the prize. So that's how it is. Xiahou Wu's eyes flashed with deep interest. After entering the God Eye Competition Ground, the two appeared in another fantasy world. Between heaven and earth, there were spatial barriers everywhere, and within each barrier was a competition ground. The number of spectators was about the same as the God Eye Competition Ground they had stopped at. Zhao Feng, look over there. Xiahou Wu pointed at a massive crystal stele on the perimeter of the competition ground. The crystal stele listed all the current competitions, including the final prizes. Each competition was targeted at a different cultivation level. Of course, there were also some popular competitions with multiple venues suitable for people of different cultivation levels. Jade Water Sky Lotus Fruit, High-Class Eye Bloodline Technique Void Spear, Defensive Soul Technique Soul Suppressing Pagoda. Zhao Feng stared in shock at the grand prizes, his mind in turmoil. What astonishing prizes! Xiahou Wu also sighed in shock. Haha, this must be the first time the two of you have come here, right? A dark-skinned, middle-aged man revealed a set of white teeth. Every time you participate in a competition, you have to pay a huge amount of divine gems. Normally, the competition venue will only open for 8 people. The amount of divine gems paid by these 8 people is usually higher than the final prize. Therefore, the organizer can't lose money. The dark-skinned man seemed to have a deep understanding of this place. This also means that this is a competition between 8 people. Whoever wins will receive the god crystals paid by the other 7. Zhao Feng suddenly said, "Yes, that's exactly it." The dark-skinned man grinned and continued. In addition, the competition here is extremely special. A normal participant will get stronger after the competition. The death track has already been decided. Someone suddenly said. The prize for the death track vanished from the crystal steel, and then another prize appeared. In an instant, several people hurriedly left and flew toward a barrier in the sky. One of them was the dark-skinned man. It seems very interesting. Xiahou Wu nodded with a smile. Right at that moment, another reward disappeared from the enormous crystal steel. Swish! A few words appeared again. The reward was profound crystal corresponding to level 5 wind profound. A wind profound crystal. Zhao Feng's eyes glimmered. 4 5 elements intent. He had 5 elements intent crystals. 4 wind lightning intent. He could use the lightning god crystal to comprehend it, but he lacked the resources to comprehend wind intent. Zhao Feng was instantly tempted. Impact field. His gaze swept across the competition that corresponded to the wind profound crystal. Xiahou Wu, I'm going to give it a try. Zhao Feng smiled, his eyes sweeping over the sky as he left. Xiahou Wu nodded, his eyes focused on the crystal steel as he searched for a suitable venue for his competition. Okay, it's impact field. In the back of the crowd, a man with 2 horns and dressed in shining black and gold armor grunted. Then, he sent a message through an ordinary token in his hand. Impact field. He's fallen heaven, sacred lands, ancient god, departed spirit. Xiahou Wu stared in shock at the figure that had already gone far away. When Zhao Feng arrived at the impact field, a few people had already gathered, the majority of them spectators. 50 high-quality god crystals. A referee said with a smile. Okay. Zhao Feng was startled, but he quickly agreed. The god crystals required to participate in the competition were actually high-quality god crystals, and the amount was astonishing. But Zhao Feng's ancient dream realm had the peak 4-star faction of the Blood Flame Qilin race, so a trifling 50 high-quality god crystals was nothing. After paying the god crystals, Zhao Feng swiftly entered the field. At this time, there were already 5 people on the impact field. 3 more people were needed. Soon after, 2 more people entered. Swish! In the end, a black figure charged in, exuding a sinister aura of death that intimidated everyone. Ancient god departed spirit. A large member of a race with the face of a serpent dragon immediately called out in alarm. The other people present also revealed looks of fear. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have come in so quickly. Someone said with a mournful face. The man in shining black and gold armor stood at his original spot, his expression dignified and his eyes cold and arrogant. He completely ignored everyone else. At the edge of the God-Eye competition field was a thin woman dressed in a black robe, her eyes white and misty. She had received a message from a token and raised her head to look into the distance. Impact field. The thin woman's eyes stopped at a certain place. Chapter 1297. Now that the 8 have arrived, we can begin. We will now draw lots, and the results will be decided in pairs. The referee walked into the competition area and announced. The 8 drew lots, and Zhao Feng drew number 8. Number 1 will fight against number 2. Number 3 will fight against number 4, and so on. The referee pointed at the 4 arenas in front of him. The moment he finished speaking, ancient god departed spirit flew to the first stage with a whoosh and quietly stood there. It's over. It's ancient god departed spirit. The muscular man with the dragon's head seemed to have been struck by lightning, but he still walked onto the arena. No matter what, with ancient god departed spirit's appearance in this competition, he still had no chance. It didn't matter if he lost early or late. The other people in the nearby arenas also had grave expressions. 4 matches will be held at the same time. 4 people will be eliminated, the referee loudly announced, and then he took out 4 black balls the size of a normal human head. I'll first explain the rules of the competition. Both sides can only use this Heaven Yuan ball to attack each other. If one side is unable to send the ball back, they will lose. Remember, you cannot directly attack your opponent. You can only pour your energy into the Heaven Yuan ball to attack your opponent. The referee's explanation was extremely simple. Everyone participating in this competition had at least read the rules or watched the matches here. Moreover, the rules of the competition were extremely simple and clear. Heaven Yuan ball. Zhao Feng's eyes twinkled as he stared at the small ball. He remembered that there was a primary material for forging high-quality divine artifacts called Heaven Yuan Divine Iron Oregon. It seemed like this ball was made from Heaven Yuan Divine Iron Oregon. This ore was extremely compatible and could store enormous amounts of energy, but it was also extremely tough. Even a rank 8 true god would find it very difficult to destroy it. Kid, let's have some fun. At the very least, we paid 50 high-quality god crystals. A man with blue eyes and blue hair across from Zhao Feng said with a smile. In his view, ancient god-departed spirit would definitely win this time, but he had also paid so many god crystals that he wanted to play a little longer. Zhao Feng ignored him. Although ancient god-departed spirit had the eye of death and possessed extraordinary strength, this was not a life-or-death duel, so he was not invincible. Begin. The referee announced the start of the competition and threw the 4 balls in his hands at the first person in each of the 4 arenas. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. One of the black balls fell into the hands of the green-haired man opposite Zhao Feng. He immediately circulated his eye bloodline, and a powerful intent of wind gathered around the black ball and controlled it. Tornado kill. The green-haired man's azure eyes began to revolve, and countless tiny white wind blades appeared around the black ball. Xiao! With the speed of a gust of wind, the black sphere slashed towards Zhao Feng with countless tiny blades. Zhao Feng hadn't read the rules of the competition in detail, but through the judge's explanation and the green-haired man's actions, he could guess it. Boom! Zhao Feng's chaos divine power surged as he struck out with his palm. At that moment, a portion of the wind profundity on the black sphere was dispersed by Zhao Feng. He absorbed a portion of it and converted it into chaos essence divine power that rushed towards the azure-haired man. What a powerful force! The expression of the azure-haired male changed dramatically. He circulated his divine power and his eye bloodline to block the black ball and send it back. It's over. Zhao Feng circulated his vast chaos essence divine power and fired off another palm. Hisses. Shrouded in twisted and chaotic divine power, the black ball shot forward like a destructive cannonball. Damn! The azure-robed man circulated his divine power, but he was still unable to block the black ball. Boom! Bang! The black ball broke through his blockade and slammed into the ground behind him. At the same time, on ancient god-departed spirit's side, Death Spear. Ancient god-departed spirit used his Eye of Death to condense a pitch-black spear shrouded in death energy around the black ball. Oh no! His opponent grimaced and dodged, not daring to receive the ball. Boom! Bang! The black ball, suffused with death intent, struck the special ground behind him, leaving behind a gray hole. As expected, no one here is a match for ancient god-departed spirit. As expected of death intent, it can actually damage the competition ground. The 2 people fighting next to ancient god-departed spirit couldn't help but sigh in shock. Because everyone was paying too much attention to ancient god-departed spirit, very few people realized that Zhao Feng's match had ended before ancient god-departed spirits. You're not bad. At this moment, ancient god-departed spirit suddenly turned to Zhao Feng and whispered. The first round quickly ended, leaving only 4 people for the second round. Chaos Origin Divine Palm. Zhao Feng pushed out a massive palm of dark and multicolored light that engulfed the black ball and crushed it forward. How could he be this strong? The woman in red paled as she hastily tried to defend. Boom! Bang! Crash! Zhao Feng continued to use Chaos Origin Divine Power, perfectly controlling the black ball. Each attack was extremely powerful, and when combined with the god's spiritual eye, he attacked the weakest points in the woman's defense. In less than 5 moves, the woman in red was defeated. Only now did everyone realize just how powerful Zhao Feng was. Even if you beat me, you'll still lose to ancient god departed spirit, the woman in red viciously said. Interesting. On the other side, ancient god departed spirit used his supreme strength to defeat his opponent. From the first battle, he could tell that Zhao Feng's strength was abnormal. He originally wanted to use this competition to show the mysterious person who had issued the mission his strength, but he didn't expect to run into an opponent who could put up a fight against him. Okay, next up is the finals. The referee called out. Whoosh! Ancient god departed spirit went straight to Zhao Feng's side, the two staring at each other from a distance. Who's that kid? He seems to be pretty strong. He's Zhao Feng of the Xiling Zone. You might not have heard of him, but he directly attained rank 6 of the Heavenly Divine Realm, broke into rank 7 in 1 year, and even defeated an ancient god expert of the Blazing Gold race. A young ancient god from the Xiling Zone immediately said, "Heh, directly breaking into rank 6? Do you think I'm a fool? Even if it's true, he just broke into the ancient god level. He's no match for ancient god departed spirit." Some of the spectators were already arguing. Some of the people of the Xiling Zone were also not optimistic about Zhao Feng's chances, but they still hoped that Zhao Feng could defeat ancient god departed spirit of the Antian Zone. I hope that you can let me play a little longer. Ancient god departed spirit gave a sinister smile, black mist madly surging in his pitch-black eyes. Let the finals begin. At this moment, the referee tossed the ball to ancient god departed spirit. Death Spear. Ancient god departed spirit's eyes surged with black mist, and the black ball was immediately wrapped in death intent energy and transformed into a lethal black spear. Thuish. Under ancient god departed spirit's control, the spear carried the black ball with it as it stabbed at Zhao Feng. Chaos Origin Divine Palm. Zhao Feng's expression was solemn as he unleashed a palm of dark and chaotic energy. It's useless. Your divine power will gradually wither under my death, ultimacy. Ancient god departed spirit chuckled. But a moment later, the black ball was intercepted by Zhao Feng. Boom! Chaos Origin Divine Power fiercely clashed with Death Divine Power. But in the end, Zhao Feng managed to suppress all the death intent. How? Ancient god departed spirit was rather surprised. Using divine power, Zhao Feng managed to block it without much difficulty. Carefully sensing it, ancient god departed spirit realized that Zhao Feng's divine power contained many intents, and they were of a very high level. Moreover, all these intents were linked together, complementing each other's strengths, creating a tyrannical and unique divine power. Chaos Origin Divine Power alone isn't enough to deal with him. Zhao Feng's left eye surged with ripples of eye intent. Boom! As he hurled the black ball at ancient god departed spirit, Zhao Feng's left eye suddenly activated. A purple-silver lightning flame surged out of it and exploded toward ancient god departed spirit. Soul Eye Bloodline Technique. Ancient god departed spirit was rather surprised. The Soul Eye Bloodline technique Zhao Feng displayed was extremely explosive. Death Coil. Countless black ribbons extended from ancient god departed spirit's eye and began to wrap around the black ball. The powerful Death Divine Power slowly ground away at the remaining energy in the black ball. Go for me. Ancient god departed spirit controlled the black ball and once more attacked Zhao Feng. The Death Divine Power on the black ball madly pulsed, and like a moving black hole of death, it devoured and pulverized everything that got close. As expected of one of the 8 great god eyes, even my basic Chaos Origin Divine Power finds it hard to resist. Zhao Feng said to himself, He once more activated his left eye, and a weak space-time intent began to spread out. Immediately, the speed of the black ball slowed down a little. Such a phenomenon naturally attracted the attention of others. Space-time intent. Ancient God-departed spirit's expression darkened. Space-time intent was no weaker than his death intent. Under the influence of space-time intent, the black ball was easily controlled by Zhao Feng. Ish. Spatial blurs flickered around the black ball, and then it shot toward ancient God-departed spirit. So fast, ancient God-departed spirit hastily activated his Eye of Death. I'll use you to test out my new move. Zhao Feng's eye surged with eye intent. A distorted ball of chaotic light shot out from it and entered the black ball. Boom! Ish. The black ball seemed to go berserk, carrying with it an extremely unstable and terrifying energy as it charged forward. Ancient God-departed spirit hurriedly used his Eye of Death to try to extinguish the energy in the black ball. But suddenly, bang! The black ball exploded with unprecedented berserk energy that drove away all the surrounding energy. Earth-shaking nova. Zhao Feng's left eye returned to normal. At the same time, thump! The black ball pierced through ancient God-departed spirit's defense line and smashed a deep hole into the ground. All was silent. After a long while, cries of alarm and doubt exploded out. Ancient God-departed spirit actually lost. Truly unbelievable. The competition had ended far too quickly, and the result was even more surprising. In the distance, Xiahou Wu faintly smiled. He could naturally see that the eye bloodline technique Zhao Feng used just now was something he had learned from young Master Hai. In the crowd at the edge of the God Eye competition ground, the black-clothed woman sneered. He actually lost. Although ancient God-departed spirit was very strong and completely met her requirements, he had still lost to someone with an unknown eye bloodline. At this moment, ancient God Profound Devil arrived. How is it? Ancient God Profound Devil whispered. The members have been confirmed. The slim woman nodded. Yeah, it's him. Use your Eye of Destiny and look at this person. Ancient God Profound Devil's attention was drawn to a certain part of the God Eye competition ground. His eyes froze for a moment, and then he turned to the slim woman next to him and said, "You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories."